One, two, three. Hello and welcome to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
Who are you?
I am one of your hosts, the Wolverine.
It's been an honor just to meet the Wolverine.
Well, Wolverine, but thanks all the same. And with me, as always, is my co-host.
You look the same.
He does look the same as always, and that's a little bit boring, but we love him anyway.
I don't age.
Andre.
That's why.
Nope. Yeah, well, that's great.
I don't age.
Well,
I am ageless. I am beyond time.
All I have is a mask.
It's your magical beard powers.
I am eternal.
I am the rocks upon the eternal shore.
I'm basically Samson, but it's a beard instead of hair. So
There you go.
yeah.
And that other voice you hear, or in that other visage you see, is our guest for this evening.
Hello?
10 words. 10 words.
Use them wisely, Jody. Jody Simpson.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
That's two.
I think this is the first time I've been here.
Coming all the way from feudal Japan. He's traversing time and space.
I thought you were here once before. Is that not the case?
I don't know. Well, I was
we
on
did the
your
X-Men video game one.
Oh, wow. There goes my green screen.
Oh yeah. All right.
there we go.
You're right. You've been on the show before.
There goes the illusion. I'm not in Japan.
God,
Oh no!
We're
Shut
done.
it out of here. The
We don't let
illusion's
liars
over.
on this show, Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I was trying to be authentic, but it didn't work. I'm just kidding. If you can't figure out this is a blue screen, then or a green screen, then you
It's
got a problem.
blowing my mind, man. I mean, I believe all AI art is real. And all
Exactly.
deep fakes are
Exactly.
real as well. I'm convinced. I know Arnold Schwarzenegger was in The Waterboy because I saw it online.
There you go. There you go.
Well, we are here to talk about the Wolverine, starring Hugh Jackman. And what can we say about the Wolverine? Well,
What can
we'll
we say
talk
about the
it.
Wolverine?
We'll talk about it.
If you follow me in Letterboxd, you already know what I feel about it because you read my Letterboxd review.
Well, I don't follow you on Letterboxd.
Well, you should.
I didn't,
sir.
I didn't, but I
You'd
will.
have to call the show right now. To call it. There'd be no mystery left for me.
Much better than I expected is when it was generally how it turned out.
Well, as with our Wolverine Origins review, I'm gonna wear the yellow mask because Wolverine didn't in this movie. So until they do, I'm gonna do it.
Although there was a
There's a lot
cutscene,
of movies that he didn't wear this in.
Was
But only
every
ones,
single
I
one?
only wear the mask for movies they have the balls to call Wolverine.
I believe there was a cutscene in this that would have had them gift him the costume at the end or something. So like,
Yeah,
Is
I
that
read
at the end
something
of
about
this?
that,
It was
but
the
I
end
believe
of
it's
one
the
of
end
them.
of. I
I've
believe it's the
seen
end
it.
of this one.
Yeah,
I think it is the end of this one. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
No,
it is,
the
yeah.
end of this one isn't the end credit scene in this one where Magneto shows
Yeah,
up.
it is. But
Well,
that
Magneto is in the airport. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but that was a. I don't think it was a credit scene. I think it was a cut scene that would have taken place in the before.
Yeah, I think I saw it
the
online
credits.
ages ago.
Yeah,
I've seen
just
it
like
too. I thought it was actually in
This
the movie.
this
or
movie
was
is
it
what,
just-
2013?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Good
Somewhere
guess.
around there? Yeah.
That's exactly correct, actually.
No, there you you go. I retained some
Yep, see,
information.
says so right there. The Wolverine.
Oh, there you
This
go.
is our Wolverine 2013 review. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We are Davin and Andre here with Jody Simpson from Live Long and Podcast, one of our.
The
I
Jodes.
decided to wear yellow to support Wolverine, but I also made sure that my Starfleet thing was on. So, gotta represent both sides here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of both sides, we have a lot of heroic figures on our show, whether it be people who voice superheroes. Some may even say Andre and I are heroes. I've never heard anyone say it.
I don't
but
think
some may.
anybody's
I
ever
don't think
said that.
anybody's ever said.
I've heard
No,
people
I
say a lot of good things about Andre.
That. Oh wow,
well,
that's nice.
There you go. Well,
That's
he
sweet.
donates a lot of blood. He donates.
That's
a
true.
lot
I
of
do.
blood.
I do.
Well,
But
those are the true
we don't get
heroes.
enough of the villain's perspective, so we brought in our resident S tier villain.
I knew this was going to come up eventually.
Are you
But
a
no, it's
resident
good to-
villain of the show?
I
for some
was
reason?
voted an S tier villain in Star.
S tier villain.
Yeah,
What does
in
S tier mean?
Star Trek. Like,
Well,
the
like
best.
it's like even better than A. If you were to rank something from like F to A, S is even better than A. I had to
Oh.
be informed about how that whole thing worked. But the kids rank things to S these days.
But apparently, I am a villain to the Star Trek universe.
I see.
Yeah.
That's
Certainly
quite
on
a,
our Star Trek brand.
it's quite a lofty claim.
Yeah, Worf sucks. But anyway, let's move on.
Worf sucks. My
See,
God.
see, you have it right
Oh
there.
my
see,
God.
you see what I'm talking about? You
you
see
just
what
like
I'm
Worf.
talking
I'm the only
Son of
person that
Mo?
has the balls to say it. But anyway, this isn't a Star Trek podcast.
This is not a Star Trek
So
podcast.
I will try to bring that. I'll try to
Thank
keep
God.
those political views aside.
Very easily
Let's
could be.
catch up
That's
on old
very
times.
political.
That's your music is super quiet if you're playing music.
Yeah, I
What do you
can't.
think they're doing up there?
It was cutting
You
in
guys can't-
choppy when you started the song for the beginning too.
Yeah.
Oh my God, why is my computer breaking all of a sudden?
Murphy, tell him why his computer's breaking all of a sudden.
Yeah, Murphy, you told me to buy this laptop. It was working fine until like,
Didn't we buy it
last
for
two
you? Is that the
episodes.
laptop?
yeah, that's the laptop.
No.
Oh, you
Well,
sound fine.
You sound fine. It's
Yeah.
just the music is cutting.
Your
in a
music
little
stuff is low. That's all.
Okay, well, I guess I have to redo all that whole bit. I don't know how to do that, but we'll figure it out. All right. Well, does he have his programs on? What? No, I don't have his programs on. No, Murphy. No programs on. But anyway,
bit. We're just giving
So-
you business.
yeah, well, we'll figure out these technical difficulties. I don't know. I thought they were gone forever. Apparently, they're not. When I did those other sound effects earlier, were they really quiet too?
No, the Beatles, the one, the prep one you used sounded fine.
The
but
first one was loud, but the rest of them weren't.
the music came in weird.
Yeah.
It was all choppy,
Man.
and that last one's pretty quiet.
It's okay, Davin. It
No.
just means we
It's
get
okay,
to hear
buddy.
more of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, give it to it, give it to
All
us, baby.
All right. Well, you know what? That was the catching up music I was gonna play.
Oh.
It was quiet anyway. So we're not gonna bother catching up. We're gonna talk about the elephant in the room.
Which is what?
Coming to join
Is
the
this super quiet too?
It's a little bit
Yes.
louder.
It started out loud, and then it got,
decided to join the party.
then it gets quiet.
You can't
But you know, we don't need to let our fans listen to us.
figure out your
Talk
technical
about that
Yeah.
technical difficulties anymore. But either way, I just launched a segment. We're gonna party like it's Apostrophe 97 for a minute because it's a big day of news in the X-Men 97 world where
Not necessarily good news.
it debuts in a week or
It's true.
Oh, you're not
ish,
talking about the
and
same
they
thing I'm
just
talking about.
fired. Oh yes,
Oh,
I
there we
am.
go.
They
Okay,
just
yeah.
fired their showrunner and head writer, like only writer, basically.
Yeah,
the
and,
elephant in
and
the
then
room.
I don't want to every time people speculate about this stuff, I just think of that scene in Anchorman 2, which is an unheralded comedy gem of a film, where he just has to fill time, where he basically invents speculating on Fox News about events that you have no way of knowing. So they're just watching a car chase, and he's just spouting off all the possible reasons this guy could be being chased by the police for an hour until they catch him. And it turns out it's just an old guy that was confused.
Yeah.
So we can speculate all you want, but we're never going to really know the answer until something comes out. But based on the fact that he deleted all of his personal social media stuff, I feel like something real bad's going to come out about him. So
Either about
Well-
him or something to do with him with Disney.
well, I mean, the fact that all of his he shut down his Twitter and everything. So I feel like
Oh, he shut them down? I thought he
his
just
Instagram and everything. I think he shut it all.
Oh, he actually shut it down. Oh,
I think
that's
so,
not
so.
usually a good sign.
Yeah, so I'm guessing maybe somebody said something that doesn't paint him in a
I'm
nice
a firm
light.
believer of waiting for the product. So when you
Oh
see
yeah, I think the
product,
show will be great. I mean, whatever happens to the dude and whatever,
I'm not necessarily certain the show is going to be great, but we're going to find
you
out.
aren't. Oh my god, Davin, kill this man. He's like, let's just wait until it comes out.
I
I'm
need,
like,
I,
no,
I need,
it's
I
going
need
to be perfect.
proved. I need, it needs to be proven to me.
That's fair. There's nothing wrong with that.
So that's why I wait.
I think you'll be.
I'll have
proved.
judgment once I watch it.
I like Jody. It's like quiet judgment. I will quietly judge this.
It's not usually that quiet.
No.
I'm trying to be reserved for your show. That's all.
Oh, that's all right. You
It's
let
on
it-
his
let
on
it,
his
like-
best behavior.
Davin's certainly not, so you can certainly go nuts too.
Well, look,
I'll
don't
go
know.
nuts if I need to.
Okay.
I'm
Because
not
I have firm
panicking or
opinions of
anything.
this movie. So
You have firm opinions? Okay.
I've been fielding calls all day regarding this situation since the news dropped.
If that means just engaging with strangers online on his Facebook page, is that what you mean by that?
None. Yeah.
You told me earlier he can multitask.
Some people aren't strangers, though.
I love when I catch Davin in a moment of realism, like when I always try to bring the hammer of reality down on him pretty hard sometimes with the nature of doing shows like this and all of the people that comment, all mostly great people. We're gonna get some trolls too, and I saw we got one on there as well.
Well, so look. Yeah, right. I had to delete our first Nazi today.
Oh yeah. Oh, you guys are stepping up then.
Well, the X-Goons were always so awesome. I was surprised we found one in there.
We got to get rid of the Nazis and the scam baiters all the time.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're finally getting to a place to attract the Nazis. I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Guess so.
Yeah. The Nazis are always around in the Star Trek world. So
yeah, it's true. Strangely enough,
it's so fun. Yeah. It's so funny.
It's
like
true,
especially like in things like X-Men and like Star Trek that really promote like acceptance and love of all races and creeds and colors and people.
Oh yeah,
there's still Nazi
people,
and there's still people in there that are like, "Why are they getting all political? Why is this so woke?" It's like that's what it always was, you idiot.
It bothers.
It bothers me because they don't understand what they like. They're like, "This is just a superhero narrative about people that are marginalized because the way they look."
Tell these people that this is entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One day,
I would say 60 to 70% of X-Men fans understand what they're watching, and 30% of them are the friends of humanity and don't realize it. But
there you go.
But so no. But honestly, I've had some insiders reach out to me as well, and word has it, it's either Disney hates black gay guys who work out and like to show their pecs online on OnlyFans, or the script.
Is that what he does?
Yeah, that's what he does. He has an OnlyFans where he's like,
well, my money is on woke Disney personally, but we'll see what happens.
I can't.
Oh my god, I've just already banned the word woke unironically on the page today.
No. He's like,
you know what I mean, though.
Yeah, what he means is that Disney doesn't approve of someone that's on OnlyFans. If that's the case, then yes, I can understand. I see where they're coming from.
But everybody knows
it can't be the scripts. They wouldn't have left it until a week before the show comes out.
But as far as I understand,
they already filmed the second one.
Yeah, they filmed everything.
He was on OnlyFans, but he wasn't like a naked account or anything like that.
No, he wasn't naked, but he's like certainly like showing off his upper body.
Okay, John Cena's on OnlyFans. He still got a job, like whatever.
Yeah, I know. But that's the word. I don't know. Like maybe
I'd be on OnlyFans, but I would just shut down that server, so I can't.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But you know who you're getting. You know what you're getting into when you work for Disney too. They try to like keep a bit of a.
There's a reason why Disney is not doing well. They can keep hiding.
Well, they make a lot of money.
Yeah, and they put out a lot of money in lawsuits and everything every year now. So it's.
Oh well, that could be.
Yeah. So, anyway.
We'll see how it all.
I think we covered this before, and I think I'm pretty sure. Sorry, the name has skipped from me. You know who I'm talking about.
Gina Carano.
Yeah, she's got fantastic fashion sense. Last name starts with an N.
She's an actress?
No. She was a guest.
On what? On here?
Not on this one. No. On one of Davin's other podcasts. Heather?
Oh.
Heather.
Oh, Heather.
Yeah, Heather.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I upset her with my, go woke, go broke mentality.
Oh yeah. That was a definitely S tier villain moment over on
well, so this is why you got
it.
Oh yeah, I earned it.
Yeah,
I earned it.
He earns it. He's a 100% villain.
I don't even feel bad about it either.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, I do what I want.
Is Davin a subscriber to the OnlyFans? Look, he's probably closed his OnlyFans too.
Davin knows because they refunded his subscription fee.
Devin's out.
Devin's like, where am I going to get my monthly fill of pecs?
Exposed again.
That's why you're wearing a mask.
Exactly. You can't see my face.
That's right. He's trying to hide. You
can't see my other screen that has the OnlyFans up, reflecting off my beautiful shiny face.
That's right.
With this mask on. Let's talk about the Wolverine.
I don't
Oh,
want
is that what we're here for?
I'd rather
Okay.
just talk about, whatever. All right.
Rocky.
You ready to get into this? So
Let's do it.
All right.
ready.
Well, let's hold on. I just had it up. I can bring it back. All right. We open on Nagasaki, World War II, 1942. When did the bombs drop on Nagasaki? 44?
45.
45.
Yeah, it's gotta be
45.
Closer to the end.
1940. Well, obviously, when
Well,
they
it
dropped the
was,
bombs,
it
it's
was
pretty
the
much
end of
Nagasaki.
the Japanese fight, really, at that point.
Yeah, it's funny because we got Oppenheimer, we got Godzilla -1, we got all kinds of things that kind of relate to this coming out this year. So actually, this reminded me a lot of Godzilla -1 a little bit in the beginning.
Don't ruin it. I have not seen it yet.
Me neither.
Oh,
And I
well,
really wanna see
Superman
it.
shows up and fights Godzilla at the end, and it's a big fight. The aliens come too.
If it
and
is, I'm
then
going to be very upset.
Kong comes out of the ground and joins into the fight, and they team up. It
Well,
was
that might be
secretly a
alright.
prequel. No, just kidding. No, not at all.
Kong has a giant guitar. It's amazing.
yeah, they have like a rock battle.
I
against the
love
aliens. It's
Godzilla
good.
movies, so
So do I. Yeah,
except for the
No,
Matthew Broderick one. I didn't like that one too much.
Yeah, I love that one as a kid. I'm afraid to go back and watch it because I know I'm going to hate it, so I won't.
Don't.
Yeah,
I watched
I'll
it
just
as an adult. It's not good.
I'll let it sit in my memory of enjoying it. I remember
No,
Jean
that's-
Reno is good.
Yeah. Oh, he is. Yeah. Yeah. He always is though.
So we see Wolverine is trapped in an internment camp in the hole, I guess, and down a little pipe. We see the Japanese escaping the camp because they know something bad's coming. They see the bombers coming in. One of the soldiers is seeing his superior officers all getting ready to. Well, he's letting all the soldiers out and letting them run because obviously they're about to be bombed. So he cuts the chains and all the doors, lets them all run. Then he's going to go let Wolverine out of his case, and he undoes the chain and then opens the gate. And Wolverine says that because he can see through the little gate slot when he clawed his way up enough to see out that that was the type of bomber that means he'd be safer down there because he apparently knows what a nuclear warhead is and what bombers deliver them. I guess that trickled down to the Weapon X program or whatever he was working with at this point in his career. So at this point, this would be in between when he was like just fighting wars with Sabretooth, right?
Yeah.
So, but Sabretooth is not here.
Lucas X finally caught us live.
Welcome,
Art of
Lucas.
Lucas. Check out his art. It's good stuff.
So we
Check out Booty Cyclops.
I like Booty Cyclops.
Does he have an
Booty
OnlyFans?
Cyclops. What?
Does he have an
Does he have
Oh,
OnlyFans?
that Cyclops has an OnlyFans. 100%.
Ooh,
Why would you spend that much time on the booty if you're not going to show it off?
on the bouquet.
True.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
this is the soldier we'll come to know as a Yoshida, so I'll refer to him as such. So Yoshida looks down, sees Wolverine. Wolverine says you're safer in here. He turns, sees his commanding officers all ready to commit seppuku on the beach, and he's going to join them. But before, on his way to do so, Wolverine stops him and throws him down the pit first as he's going down to, Wolverine stops
Wasn't there
him.
like other guys who do it first though? It's
Yeah,
like
the
it sucks to
there's-
be the last guy committing seppuku. He's
there's
gonna watch
three
the
of
other
us-
guys do it. It's like, oh shit, that's horrible. Oh
Like,
shit, that was
Three of his
horrible.
other fellow
This is
soldiers
like
or
your
commanding
turn.
officer are like already down when he notices they're about to do it. So then he goes to join them. And as
Yeah.
he's about to, Wolverine stops him as the bomb hits, which actually is a pretty cool little scene. Like this scene's actually pretty cool.
I think this is a great way to open the movie.
It is, and I wish there was more of this sort of stuff in Wolverine Tales. Like if we just got this story of Wolverine in World War II.
Well,
hanging out together.
I liked how
The
gritty
last
the
Wolverine
opening
movie
was,
started
right?
good too. What?
Oh wait, which one did you do before this?
No, he's talking
Well,
about Wolverine.
Origins.
Oh,
But,
you mean
like it
Origins.
started off good too, and it was just like a bunch of war montages and stuff.
Well,
and
that's
they're, like,
true,
kinda-
but it was more like a montage, though. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really more of a
Yeah.
montage.
This is
than
really
actually-
a backstory scene. Like, this
yeah,
is-
actually it cuts into where the narrative of the story.
like I think it's a great way to start.
I think so too.
This
And
is the exact way they should have started the Lost World Jurassic Park. This is exactly how they should have
Wolverine
did it.
getting hit by a nuclear bomb.
No,
I'm
the nuke.
confused, Jody.
Yeah, okay, well, I don't know if you've ever read the books, but the books start off with them nuking the fucking island. Like
Yeah.
that's literally what they do, right?
then
So
we
that
find
would have been
the
a great way to
Jurassic
start that
Park
movie
book?
too. But
Which is kind of how like Lost
Oh, that's
Kingdom
crazy.
starts with it dying in the volcano, claiming it, and then sort of rolling into everything else. But
yeah,
anyway, those movies aren't great. Actually, I like Lost Kingdom. I never saw the third one, Dominion, but I've heard it's really bad.
ugh,
Um,
it's bad.
yeah, I've heard that. I should watch it someday just to cap off my watching of them. But I
I
know
would highly
getting-
suggest you multitask while you're watching it.
yeah, I'm
It-
getting to the
you will
point
be
in life
so
that
bored.
there are bad movies that I kind of want to watch just because I'm a completist. And I'm
Oh, I
like,
do that all the
I
time.
put them off, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's gonna suck.
I watch some of the shittiest movies you can imagine, but I'm allowed to say shitty, right?
Oh, you can say it to the fuck
You
you
can say
want.
whatever you want on this show. We're
Yeah.
X-rated.
That's right. Take your
right.
dick out, whatever you want. No, I'm just kidding.
Joke's on you. It already is.
Oh, excellent. Good. You're in line.
I had to fold it down though.
That's the secret shame of the show is that they're always out.
Everybody's pantsless.
out. Yeah, that's right.
Literally, that was the invite I got from you guys. Was
Oh yeah, no,
you
we
guys,
always we
you
always
want to
tell
be
you
on to do the Wolverine? Oh, by the way, you have to be pantsless.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's a
We-
weird request,
yeah,
but
so
okay.
We all just enjoy knowing that we all are appointed.
Everybody is just
Why do you think that busy
Just free
temple
flow.
behind Jody isn't so busy?
Yeah.
The fans came off, and all of a sudden,
I
everyone
gotta
emptied
go
of that
out there
temple.
later and wash my balls.
Watch me. Yes, just dip them in the Japanese lake there. Just dip them in.
It might have been a mistake
Refreshing.
inviting me on this. I'm just letting you know.
Oh, it's all good.
Oh,
No, that's Davin. That's
probably.
Davin's mistake because I had no hand in that. Davin just tells
Oh,
me who the guests are.
So when we get off air, Andre's going to give you a hard time about having.
No,
me
not
on.
at all. I actually like this.
What were you thinking?
Anyway.
A villain? Anyway,
So the bomb goes off. Wolverine throws Yoshida down the hole, jumps on top of him, grabs a metal thing, covers his body with it, and himself holding it over him to protect him from the blast. Eventually, the blast ends. Yoshida looks up. Wolverine is just looks like a meatball because he's all charred from the nuclear blast. But then he
Looks
quickly
like it hurt.
heals because of his ability. Then we cut to Wolverine in bed with our returning Jean Grey, played once again
okay,
by Funky
I got to
Jensen.
say something.
I forgot about these scenes when I was thinking about this movie.
Jean Grey should not be in this movie at all. Like he knew her for 10 minutes and they already like played up like it's the greatest love of his life and all this shit in the other movies too much because it never made sense. And in this, it's
I
like this
wouldn't
is a
disagree
Wolverine
with that
movie
assessment.
separate from all that. He doesn't need to keep
But they
obsessing
had
over
to
this
have-
girl he met.
But they had to
Like-
have some sort of drive for him because.
Well, they had to show the weight of like they really play into like I'm okay with it. I get what you're saying, and you're right.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
But they had to have like they really play with this movie, and that's actually something that surprised me because I forgot how much this played into this movie was like the weight of what immortality brings. That you'll lose everyone eventually, and that the weight of those years will weigh in you, and you'll have to reconcile with the fact that everyone you'll ever know and ever love will outlive, and you'll just keep going on and on.
Like we got
So
a little
that's the
bit
point
of.
they're driving
got-
home in this movie.
Well,
we got a
and
little
grief.
bit of the Wolverine. We got a little bit of the Wolverine grief process during all of the movies, right? Like he
Yes.
always had like some sort of internal thing going on. But I think this movie really focused more on that, which actually I think worked out well. I
So did
think
I.
the Jean Grey scenes are probably the worst part of this whole movie.
I agree.
But
Better movie without
I
them.
understand
And
why
it's
they're
long
there.
anyway.
It's
and
a
it's
long
also
movie.
it's
yeah.
also
To connect them to the past movies too.
well, it also like he's dealing
Connects
with
to
the
the
grief,
future past as well. So
and he's dealing with the grief
the
of,
end,
of killing her and stuff too, right? Which is part of that, all of this. But you're right because they do seem like hallucinations. Like he just whatever he's
well, they
doing
are
stops.
hallucinations.
I
They
know,
are.
and he just
Yeah.
goes into a world where Jean is beckoning him to basically die. So he
Yeah,
can
it's
join
weird.
her in the afterlife. Right?
But I
And
like
finally
the
be
fact
happy.
that
Sometimes
he-
he's asleep. Sometimes
but
he's
he
not.
but he doesn't
I
have his
think-
shit together, and that's what I like about this movie is he's
Yeah.
more raw in this movie. Which if you go back to the comics, there's a lot of comics like that. Where he's more raw, he's more dealing with life as opposed to being the Wolverine.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a
So,
manifestation of his desire to die, basically, which is
Yeah.
something this movie plays with, where he's saying like, so once soldiers outlive, get tired of fighting, they have nothing to live for, and
That's right.
and death is what's next. So this is like, an honorable death is what they seek, a death wish. So this
well,
is
and I
what-
think that was a great way because when you start the movie off with this flashback to basically the atomic bombs dropping,
Yeah.
which at the time he wouldn't have known they were atomic bombs because that was still a secret at that point. So,
No, he seemed to know what the bomber was because he said.
well, he knew what the
dude.
bomber was because
Yeah.
those bombers were everywhere in World War II.
But he
so-
said specifically that's this type of bomber, and so what
He
it's
does.
going to drop, you can't
Yeah.
run from. Like,
well,
you're safer in here.
how
That's a
close
bomb.
how close they dropped it anyway, he can't run from it anyway.
Yeah.
So it would
Well,
make
especially
sense.
like how did the radiation not kill Yoshida? But anyway,
Well,
Well,
I
he-
get the impression he
he
was
is
pretty fucked up
dying of
after.
He is dying of cancer when we.
he's
meet him.
also 80. Like he was,
He
like
is,
assuming
but-
he was 20 in 1945. I do
He
the
li-
math.
if
he
he
lived a
he's
good life.
80 and the richest man in Japan.
Yeah,
So he
so
can
he had a
pay
good
to
run.
extend his life
I don't
somewhat.
think the radiation was killing him. I think that's just good old person cancer.
Yeah, he was also hanging out with what's her name there. So
Viper, yeah. So anyway,
Viper,
this
yeah.
little scene where they share a bed together, and they're obviously like it seems like they're together, and then Wolverine realizes that he has stabbed her, and he's trying to like fix it up, like cover the wound, and then he wakes up and he's living in the wilderness with a big old beard and hair. He's got a little shrine to Gene on a blanket.
like-
he just lives on a blanket in the woods.
Like
Yeah.
tying this movie to such a terrible movie isn't a great thing to do with your movie either. Like,
Not
tying
really,
it so
but they do
directly.
have to like acknowledge that what's come
Yeah.
before. And I think they do a good job of not really touching anything in that
They don't
movie
they
too
don't go
much.
too far into it, which I liked. You know, they
I
try
mean,
to
this-
keep this movie very independent, which I liked.
Yes.
There was a
In a
couple
way,
things
this
that
is a-
worked, obviously, but
in a way, it's a perfectly serviceable Wolverine movie, but it suffers from like what Wolverine comics like. Wolverine's one of my favorite characters, but very rarely are Wolverine solo comics good. Like
Yeah.
when they are,
I
it's
wouldn't
fun,
disagree
but
with
they're
that. Yeah.
I rarely buy them because it hit,
Like Frank
chances
Miller's
are it's not gonna be
Madripoor
good.
story, that wasn't good. That was fun.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Like there are a few good ones, but like for the most part, I don't like. You can feel pretty confident going and keeping up on your Spider-Man comics as you do, Andre. You wouldn't have that confidence with solo Wolverine stories. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
after a while, you question your purchases for a while, and like Wolverine's better in a like a
He's better with people with him.
yeah. No, this is off the subject, but I finally know who Davin's voice reminds me of. Homer Simpson. Is that what I sound like? This is Homer Simpson out in Radio Land.
Very nice.
Well,
I
I'll
don't
take
hear
it.
it, but you know.
I can hear it a little bit.
Yeah. I'll take it.
So then he wanders into town to go to a store over here. Some hunters talking about, or no, first he sees a bear, which they have a little like, I'm an animal, you're an animal nod to each other and go about their separate ways. A big grizzly bear. He wanders into town to get supplies at a hunting store over here. Some rednecks talking about a big hunting thing they're doing that night. One of the women asks him if he's a hunter. He says not anymore. Buys his shit, gets it back into the woods. Then he hears some shooting and screaming and yelling, and goes to investigate. Well, he's in the woods during a rainstorm. Comes across the body of the bear, which has been shot with an arrow and it's dying. We'll come to find out exactly what happened soon. But he, in his dreams or in his hallucinations, promised never to do violence anymore because what happened to Gene, and kind of says, I don't want to have to do this to the bear. The bear, of course, is in pain and dying, so he pops his claws and kills the bear. Then he wanders back into town to find a local saloon where, first he kind of goes through the campsite where that he saw was torn up by the bear before he found the dead bear.
I'd be super pissed if I was Wolverine in this scene too. Like he's a bit crazy in this upcoming scene, but I would be too, man, because like that's a horrible thing to have to do, to have to put this bear out of its misery. But it was the right thing to do.
Especially
but it
for
wasn't
a
his
senseless thing, too.
responsibility to do that. He wasn't. the
Well,
one
and
that
this
put
was
the bear in that
essentially just a
situation.
stray. This was either a stray arrow or it was an arrow that was poison tipped, and
It was
Yeah.
it was
poison tip.
it was definitely
Become
poison
fucked
tip.
up.
I still got
So-
the impression it was kind of a stray arrow, though. Like they didn't.
No, they
hit
well,
the
No,
brain,
no.
no, I don't. I think it was they intended to kill it, but they couldn't find it, or they're afraid that it would.
Well,
you
it
know.
ran.
Because it
Also,
ran
when
and
they're
they didn't
leaving the
find-
store, they're bragging about just shooting it in the ass. They weren't trying to. Do
Oh,
the
that's
stuff.
right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
they set it up. They make sure you
Oh, I
know.
didn't
they
catch that
shot
part, so
this-
maybe that's why.
Yeah, I didn't catch it
Yeah.
either, but knowing
That
that,
makes
then
sense.
that makes perfect sense.
That's
I-
why
I
he
get-
immediately knows who it was. They were talking.
Well, it's
about
fine.
doing
In fact, he's credited as Redbeard in the IMDb, the character, and I was going to call myself that because of obvious things. But
That would've been amazing. I should have.
I hated this character so much that I couldn't bring myself to do it.
You're like, I just can't do it.
I just can't do it.
So,
So
Harandre, I forgot to tell everybody that was your name, Harandre. You
yeah,
still got your
so-
Tennyson quote up. Very nice.
I forgot to change that.
Sorry, I just had to mute my phone there.
Tennyson.
Whoop, there
Tennyson.
goes my green screen again.
Oh no! Stop moving.
Perfect stillness when they brawl.
So he comes in, finds the one survivor of the grizzly attack, who's bragging at the fact that he survived, and then basically tells him that that the bear killed everyone because it was crazed with poison from the arrow they shot him with, which is illegal. Puts the arrow in the guy's hand. The guy says he didn't poison it. He says, "Well, you have nothing to worry about then, because it's the same arrow." The guy
That
becomes
was like
yeah, which I like. The guy becomes visibly nervous, and Wolverine is gonna slice him up, but then he's stopped by the Japanese woman with delightful red hair who stops him.
Yukio.
Yukio, as we come to
Yukio.
know her.
Man, for me, this movie is the Yukio movie. All the best.
She's pretty
scenes
great.
She's in.
She's got some great scenes.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
It's a shame that they made her a bubblegum version in the Deadpool stuff. but,
Yeah, well, Yukio.
Rila Fukushima plays her in the movie.
she does a great
She-
job.
she's very fun to look at too. She has an interesting face.
Yeah,
Not
she's
only
great.
that, but like her mannerisms and everything are like spot on for what you would
Yeah.
expect the character to be, right? Like, which
She's
I
the best
think is
part of this
fantastic.
movie.
I think she's
Yeah.
one of the best parts of this movie for sure. Yeah. But the one thing I really like about this movie, which actually you kind of breezed upon a little bit there, was the dialogue for Wolverine. I find very comic like, which I actually really liked in this movie compared to some of the other movies that he's done.
I feel like it's more realistic than most of some of the other stuff that we've seen.
It's definitely more realistic, but I also like the one-liners and stuff are more comic-y, kind of like when they're not supposed to be, but they are, which I actually kind of liked. Especially with the like, not anymore, are you a hunter? Not anymore. Like
Yeah.
that's definitely
They're trying to
entertaining,
put some
right?
zingers in there, some Wolverine
Yeah,
zingers.
but I like that they were subtle. Like they weren't like in your face like they are in like, for instance, the first 3 X-Men movies had a lot of the weird dialogue that was just over the top, especially the third movie, which we don't talk about anymore. But I don't anyway.
Well, we've talked about it at length. It sucks.
I'm sorry.
Is Yukio in the comic? Like, who's she in the comics?
Yeah, she's a friend of Wolverine's in the
Yeah,
comics.
She's just Yukio? Okay.
Yeah, well, eventually she ends up in a wheelchair and ends up like hating
That's
him
who.
for a
Okay.
while.
Yeah, all right. Because
But in Deadpool, she's
she's Negasonic Teenage Warhead's girlfriend.
Yeah, she's dating her.
Yeah,
So.
which is fine, but she's
Oh, no,
doesn't
that's
do
fine.
much.
If it's the same Yukio.
I can't see why it wouldn't be.
She's got similar-ish hair. It's just a different color.
Yeah.
And it's a different actress.
Oh, it's definitely a different actress. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So she stops Wolverine. Some of the guys seem to want to get involved. She used some slick ninja moves to slice up their chairs and knock them all down. Wolverine gets in the car with her. Her car's a mess. It's kind of a funny gag. She says she's here to deliver the sword to him from her employer, who we eventually put together the pieces as the guy that he saved back in World War II. And he's dying and wants to say goodbye. Wolverine doesn't want to go, and she says she's sort of tasked with making him go. He says he will go, but only for just say goodbye and then come right back, basically. Yeah. So they have a private jet. Wolverine is drinking one of my all-time favorite whiskeys on the plane, Hibiki, by Suntory. For relaxing times, make them Suntory times.
Exactly.
You're a soldier, and you seek what all soldiers do.
And what's that?
An honorable death. An end to your pain.
Everyone just in this movie just wants Wolverine to kill himself, basically.
No, she
And
does.
eventually
She's just saying she's
into
reading that from him.
No, it's true. But eventually he clues into that. He's like, "What? I just came here to say goodbye to you, and y'all just want me to kill me?" Like,
Well, Yukio also kind of reveals that she can see the future with her powers.
That actually reminds me of a review. I think I actually saved it. Hold on one sec.
was that sound effect louder by any chance?
That's
It was definitely louder. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I figured out the problem.
Michael
Oh,
Jones
my.
from Shadow and Act, which is on Rotten Tomatoes, he goes, most of all, I loved being able to say I finally watched a Hugh Jackman kill as the Wolverine. I'm like, yeah,
Oh yeah.
because literally he doesn't that much.
Well, he tries to kill a guy later in this movie, but it doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He does kill some folks.
He kills some people.
Definitely
Oh,
a lot
definitely.
of those Yakuza guys.
Especially the train.
definitely
scene.
the Yakuza.
Kills a lot of
guys.
people in the train.
Oh yeah.
So we right. Yeah, that's a great sequence too. But anyway,
This
so
scene.
we get up to Yoshida's place, which is basically like a mansion. We learn he
like
sees,
Jody's there.
yeah, exactly.
Similar. Yes, similar.
He notices.
I believe we have the same decorator.
He noticed somebody training with
Yesterday
like
brand.
sword fighting training, who is we come to know as what's
Shingen.
that here?
Shingen.
Shin. No, that's not right. Is it?
Shingen.
Oh yeah, it's Shingen's the character, yes. But played by Haruyuki Sanada, who I've forgot
Does he
about
play
in this-
Scorpion
in the new X-Men movies, yes,
in the new
or the new Mortal Kombat movies, yes.
In the new Mortal
yeah.
Kombat, yeah.
He's
was
also
good at that,
he's
though.
also in that new. He's in everything. He was the guy that
Yeah, he's in everything.
he's the guy that Clint Barton fights when he's Ronin in Avengers.
Oh right.
yeah,
Oh, that
he's
I
all,
didn't
Right.
yeah, he's
in
also
in the rain there. Yeah.
he's in a cool show called Helix. He's also on that huge show right now, Disney Plus Shogun, based on the old book.
Oh, I want to watch that. Yeah.
It's supposed to be very good. He's the main star of it.
Yeah.
He's also in the last John Wick movie. He was in a show I used to watch called Helix about immortals, which is kind of interesting.
I wasn't nearly as excited to see him as I was to see Brian T, though.
Yes, yeah, he's pretty cool too.
Brian T is still in one of my favorite movies ever.
Cobra, G.I. Joe, Rise of Cobra.
No,
Which one?
Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, baby.
Oh God,
I love that movie.
no,
It's so
I
terrible.
don't think I've ever seen.
Jody
that one.
loves those horrible.
I love the
car
Fast and
movies.
Furious movies. They are my guilty pleasure. I love
Yeah.
them all. Well, not all of them, but I love most of them.
What we've talked about, how they actually up until I think it was X-Men Apocalypse, Fast and Furious movie came out the same year as X-Men. They're on the same line for the new movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know
every
that.
year the same. Right up until I think that one where maybe COVID delayed it or something.
Oh, maybe.
But there was something like that.
Got like a fly or something.
So we see Shingi, is really good, and Wolverine comments that he's really good while he's sparring. Yukio says he's all right. They go on. They meet another woman who we come to know as I gotta switch to my screens here. Mariko, played by Tao Okamoto, who basically put some threads together here, which is learning that she is Shingi's daughter, and Shingi is the son of
Shingen?
or Shingen. Sorry, there's a Japanese
Shingi.
guitarist.
I
called
thought you
Shin-
gave him a nickname. Oh, Shingi.
There's a Japanese guitarist that I really like called Shingi, which is why that's in my head. Shingen. So Shingen is the son of Yoshida, and Mariko is his daughter. Yoshida
A
owns
lot of
big
this is
company.
taken from the Frank Miller run. Like this is a lot of that Frank Miller story.
And Yoshida's like a billionaire. He's done all this tech stuff. He's become really rich. So he has this whole empire. Yukio brings him into another room to get bathed and cleaned because he's gross from living in the mountains. We get a humor scene in which
That's a pretty funny scene. Yeah.
Well, first we do briefly see that they tuck in and see Yoshida on like a bed in a medical facility, talking to Mariko. So that's where we get who Mariko is, his granddaughter.
But they wanted him clean before he saw.
It's dishonorable to go in there all dirty.
I
and
have to
stinky.
admit that scene was pretty funny.
Yeah, and they're trying to like wash his nuts.
They're trying
and
to
he's
wash
like, I can
him,
handle that.
like, I can do it myself.
But they also want to get like contagions off him because there's like a cancer patient in there. They say they need to decontaminate him.
Yeah. So in the
I'm not sure. Like brooms and barrel water is really going to do that. But
man, I would take a double lady broom bath like that anytime.
Oh, I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm just saying I don't think it's going to be that effective.
Like I sweep up like after my landscape.
I like Double Lady
kinds of
Broom
brooms.
Bath. I think that's a great band name, Double Lady Broom Bath,
That is an
Just
awesome
be nice and
name.
scratchy,
or at least an
Feel
album
just
name
like-
for sure.
Imagine the exfoliation; it would just be wonderful. I think.
So he gets a
It's like,
haircut.
hey, I could do that bit.
Yeah,
They
I'm
get
there
the
for the
brush coat.
exfoliation for sure.
So he gets a haircut, and he looks much more reserved. His hair is back to normal. Not
Doesn't
quite.
look like the grizzly boy anymore.
No, he's got his mutton chops back and everything.
Doesn't look
too.
like me anymore. He was basically just.
Did you
rocking
notice
my
that
look
what they
there.
did with his hair though? Like he still had the two kind
Yeah.
of spiky things there.
They always
Oh,
do.
yeah,
Yeah,
They
I love that. They
It's
still kept
different
that,
every
though.
movie too, but
Yeah,
it's
in
getting
X-Men
better.
2, it's really coiffed, like it's really up there.
It's
It looks
really
really
up there.
ridiculous, but in this
And
one,
it's
it looks
really
it looks
bad in
more
Very
like a
X-Men.
natural
subtle in this
haircut.
one, but I like
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I like the bed and
Subtle-
the bed that Yoshida's on. It's like made up of like those nail things where you put your hand through it and it makes
Yeah,
the nail paint on
exactly.
the other side.
I always
It's
put my
like-
face in them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it actually pushes him up. Like
Yeah,
that's
which is
how
kinda
he
neat.
gets
Yeah.
like held up. Yeah.
Serious
neat.
technology.
so he
there's
looks at the
Sam.
side table, which is important for later, and sees these weird little robot things swimming in water, or some kind of gel. And that's
Which on the second rewatch, I finally noticed that. I didn't
Yeah.
notice it the first one, so I'm like, where the hell did this fucking thing go? That's in his chest or something. Which obviously, spoilers. I've now given that part away, but
That's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
Well,
But-
he
it's-
looks to his screen and sees that these little robots are actually in Yoshida, helping keep him alive. So he makes a note of that as well. Then he has he looks at a wall of Yoshida and he tells stories about like his family history and stuff. But eventually explains it's cool because like we see he gets a scar in his face from the nuclear explosion in the past. He still has that as an old man.
Yeah.
He explains basically that Wolverine, he knows he's tired and he's fought as many battles as he wants to fight, and he wants him to pass he has the technology to pass Wolverine's healing factor onto himself and save his own life. And he knows Wolverine wants to die. So basically we'll take your healing factor away. You'll get to live to be an old man, have a family, and die. And we want that. And Wolverine's like, of course, doesn't, but still kind of does. We meet an
I've
assistant
been
of
trying
his.
to find you for over a year.
Oh, That's not the right. Yeah, we're back to me hitting the wrong sound effect again. Yay! It's like old times on.
Yeah, I know. We're coming back. It's full circle, baby.
Yay!
So, Wolverine, of course, is upset by this. He doesn't really want to do this, and as he sort of says he doesn't, Yoshida starts to have an attack. His assistant or whoever, who's a blonde woman with glasses, who we'll come to know later as Viper.
Miss Dr. Green, they call her.
Yes, well, she wears a lot of green.
And she has green hair.
Doesn't wear as much green later on in the movie, though.
No, the outfit is still green. She has a full green outfit.
Yeah.
So as he's leaving and they're tending to him, he sees Shingen and in Eureka and Mariko. There's a lot of names I'm gonna have to try to remember. Getting in an argument. She gets in his face. He slaps her, which is pretty rough. And then
she tries to throw herself from the balcony.
Yeah, and then Wolverine stops her. Which, like I said, this movie's really about like grief and death wishes and like wanting to die and finding a reason to live. Which actually is like,
if you're watching this for just like a boring but fun action movie, that's not exactly what this is. Like this has some deep undertones, and this is dealing with grief, with loss, but it's also dealing with suicide. It's also dealing with like your mind taking over you.
It's not really. The movie's only an hour and 40 minutes. It's not that long.
Really, it felt longer.
It did not
feel longer. Yeah,
1:39:19 I think is
really wow. I thought it was.
It's counting down for me. So actually, yeah, it might be closer to 2 hours. Sorry.
I thought it was at least 2.
It ends at 1:54, so it's not crazy. Yeah. But
not crazy. But there's a lot.
I think that's one of the longer X-Men movies, if not the longest one yet.
But I will say though, even though yes, it is a slow burn in some spots, I wasn't not entertained. Like it wasn't like you're watching and it's more of a chore to do it. Like I enjoyed the whole thing.
Yeah, actually, me too. It's probably the best X-Men movie we've gotten so far, and it's not really an X-Men movie. It's a Wolverine. Well,
movie. It's one character, yeah.
Yeah, but as far as
not an ensemble,
like it had something deep to say and use superhero narrative to do that. There's that too. So Wolverine goes back to his bed. They give him his room. He goes to sleep. He wakes up. He has a dream with
every time this guy goes to bed, like
Jean again.
It's such a bad idea for him.
Jean shows up again. He wakes up and thinks he sees the blonde woman after he wakes up, who hisses and spits something in his face, and then he wakes up again, and it's the morning.
A little bit of foreshadowing there.
He then goes out.
How did that happen? Like, what's going on here? There's some things in this movie that are a little strange.
How did what happen? He was sleeping, and she snuck into his room to knock him out with her. We come to learn, since we're going ahead, but I mean, people have probably seen this anyway. That she has these different. She's immune to all poisons, so she can use them. She spits them at people to do stuff to them. So she obviously snuck into his room when he was sleeping. He woke up in time for her to spit on him, knock him back out, and then she put the.
But he thought it was just. Yeah,
he thought it was just a dream.
Yeah, that's the reason why he's got the thing in him.
Yeah, that's how that thing got in him.
Yeah.
So anyway, then he wakes up to find out that Yoshida has died. He's going to the funeral with Yuriko. He's told by he meets Shingen, like actually gets to talk to him, and Shingen tells him like, my father always spoke about you. Very high. He says
Kazuru, they call him Kazuru.
Yeah, something like that is the term. So he says, your father was a very good man, and then Shingen says he always said the same thing about you, and he says, he said you came here to. Why did you come here? And he says to say goodbye. He says you have go back to your cave now, basically. And Wolverine's feeling like it's time to leave, basically. But just before he can, the Yakuza attack. They're in disguise as mourners or priests. There's a big fight where they shoot a bunch of people and then kidnap Mariko.
And you also got the guy on the roof.
Oh yeah, there's a guy on the roof with a bow and arrow that's kind of watching things.
The Silver Samurai, who is an archer in this movie,
who has
for some reason,
and is never actually the Silver Samurai.
See this, those are my biggest gripes with this movie.
But your gripes are always that they're not the same as the comics.
No, because the switch ups are pointless, or the naming of the characters is pointless. If you want to have an archer guy, make him an archer guy. Don't make him the Silver Samurai Harada. But they do that in these early stage superhero movies.
I just refer to him as Japanese Hawkeye.
To try to throw you off. Yeah, just call him Japanese Hawkeye.
I don't think it's
instead.
to
That's
throw
better.
them off. I just think it's they wanted a character that did this.
They
and
want to be
just gave him
different
that
than the
name as an
comics.
homage. See,
So
you're
they'd have very ham-fisted ways of doing it, like the twist at the end, where like we're still gonna have the silver.
But
Samurai.
you also have to look at the fact
But
that the comics have
it's
already
g-
told the story, so they have to.
It's-
they have to
yes,
come up
but
with
you
something
guys are both assuming that more than 40%, 20% of the population of people watching.
Oh,
these
most
movies
people
read the
don't even know who
comics.
that is. Yeah.
Exactly. So none of them care.
Not gonna
And
matter. Yeah.
It's just their way of sliding in what really happened, like or some nod to the real character.
Yeah,
My
I don't.
point
I
is
don't.
These
I don't
ham-fisted
find that
things
that
never
big of
make
a
the
deal.
movie better. They usually make, if not always, make the movie.
Oh, I
worse.
like
They
this
no, they
character.
make it worse to the people that care that much about the original continuity. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying the average person doesn't know who Yoshida is.
But
no,
you have to admit the scenes that he's in that he actually is doing the archery is some of the funnest scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah, he's pretty
So,
cool.
Yeah, no, I like that character.
I mean,
character
honestly,
wise,
they-
he's a good character. But I agree with you, Davin.
but to me,
Yeah,
there's
no,
just no
did he
good
need to be
reason to
named that?
name him Harada.
Oh, I agree.
If
I'm
you're-
not.
if
I'm
you're
not
never gonna
defending
make
the
him a-
choice. I'm just
Yeah.
saying executives don't care enough to think
No,
that far
no.
ahead.
The only thing I can think that they do it for any reason at all is to be like a bit of a red herring, so you think he's the Silver Samurai, but then you get the
Maybe,
twist
but
at
I
the
honestly
end.
don't think the average the
the average
av-
wouldn't, but like to maybe
I
like
think that's more just for the
You're
fans.
thinking-
trick the comic book fan or something.
That's like
that.
that's like 5% of the people going to watch this. Like 10%. Like of all the people that
I think
see
you're
it,
being actually pretty high on that.
yeah. Like you're assuming the company cares that much more about comic book fans. They really don't.
Yeah, so I think it's for my original theory. They did it for not a good reason, and
Well,
not
I
any reason at all. Like they're just.
I feel like the
ham-fisted
script. I feel
using
like
the names of characters.
the script that'd be a scriptwriter thing because the scriptwriter would have done that.
I
So,
went to
yeah.
the premiere for the
So maybe the
first X-Men
scriptwriter
movie,
cares. Yeah.
and most of the people in the theater had no idea who these characters were. So
Yeah.
that leads me to believe that Audrey is probably fairly spot on his.
No, I agree with you that they wouldn't know the name Harada or any of that, but a lot of these people, like higher than 10%, would recognize the Silver Samurai. They've seen the toys, they've seen the cartoon, like they recognize the
No.
Silver Samurai.
I disagree.
I think so.
You think the
Like,
average
there's a reason they picked him as the main villain in this movie
because
they
he's a
picked somebody
Japanese villain and they need a Japanese villain to fit the Japanese narrative of
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
story.
but they could have
That's
picked Ogun or they could have picked other people. They
They can't put him in a cool silver suit.
Yeah. Problem is, you got to have the silver suit.
They didn't put Silver Samurai in a cool silver suit.
They sure did.
They did.
He
just
was
later
fine
on.
at the end, but he was basically Iron Man.
Apparently, archery is one of his hobbies, though.
During the funeral, we see that there is a silver samurai thing set up, which is like a symbol of the Yoshida clan.
Yeah.
But then anyway, the Yakuza invade. Wolverine gets shot, but then it seems like he's having trouble healing. He's not healing very fast, and he ends up chasing after the Yakuza that have stolen Mariko, and he gets in runs through an airport, gets onto a train, has a big fight in top of, gets on the same train. He helps her get away and gets her on a train. She says she doesn't want his help. And then he follows her anyway because he wants to protect her.
Yeah.
Then on the train, they're attacked by the Yakuza, and Wolverine gets out of the train and fights. This is where he's realizing that
Amazing. I love
this is a great. This is
scene.
actually a great action sequence. So Wolverine,
It's so overdone, but boy, is it fun.
Wolverine realizes that is like his wound isn't healing, and then of course he ends up fighting them on top of the train. And there's a great bullet train fight with.
It reminded me of that scene in the first Mission Impossible movie.
Oh
Where,
man,
like-
it's been a long time since I've seen those.
Yeah, but there's a scene where Tom Cruise is fighting one guy on top of a train, and they go into a tunnel, and the
Yeah,
helicopter's following them, and it blows up and all that.
didn't they do the same gag too, where like the guy's facing him and then he sees the tunnel, so he ducks,
Yes.
and then the guy ducks too, but then
Same.
eventually he psychs him out by ducking
That's-
when he shouldn't.
No, he
Done since
psychs by
Looney Tunes.
jumping
Up.
up,
Yeah,
and
When
then but he doesn't actually jump up. The other guy jumps up, and his head gets taken right off.
yeah, and that happens, but does that happen
Yeah.
in the Tom Cruise one too? I feel like it did.
It does, but it's a sign. I think.
Okay.
Like, it's a
Oh,
sign that's going
okay.
by. Yeah.
Right. So
Same
yeah,
idea, though.
that's a fun little moment.
Yeah.
So and there's all this like a little bit of comedy where all this fights happening on the roof and you see her and they're just listening to music, like not knowing what's going on.
Well, and like the people on the train are also like they're completely oblivious to what's going on here, and it's like there's these guys like fighting to the death up at the top, like Wolverine's like scraping his claws into things, and stuff.
Yeah.
and yet like everybody on the train's just like it's a normal day on the passenger train here.
Yeah. Well,
Funny
it's a
part
bullet
is when
train,
like the
even.
fight's over and he comes back in and gets Mariko. He's just like, we gotta get out of here. And she's just like, why? We're just
Like,
like,
Why?
Just chilling.
We're on a train. It's cool.
Yeah.
So
Great scene, though.
they get out of there.
Yeah.
They go. They're trying to find a place to hold up. They find a sex motel, which
Which was funny as
That was
well.
yeah,
pretty
which is
funny
funny as
scene,
well.
too.
Yeah.
So it's
They
like
did a
they
good
can only
job
get a
with
room
that.
together.
Do you
So
want, like Mission to Mars or like
Yeah, it's like Mission to Mars
Yeah.
was the well, and the three options that they give because he wants rooms that are adjacent, so he could be in a
they
different
don't have
room.
that.
And they're like, we don't
Yeah.
have that. We just have single rooms, and here are the themes for the 3 rooms, and they're all terrible. Like, they're all-
yeah.
Oh
They're
man,
like a
I would
little
take Mission
wall
to
that you pick
Mars.
from.
Come
yeah,
on,
he goes, I'll
Mission to
take
Mars.
Mission to Mars. I guess.
I think there's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
farm girl and something is one too. Like it's just ridiculous. Like
Yeah, one of them was that, and one of them was like some sort of love Valentine thing or something.
so then he sees Gene again in the rain when they're trying to get the room
Every
sorted.
time he sleeps, man, that guy's got to stop sleeping.
Well, they have like
Agreed.
some moments. He out in the rain, he sees her, he goes out to talk to her, and then she's like, why don't you come to me, like, basically die so that you can join me. And then he passes out, he wakes up being operated on in a
Even his dreams want to kill him. Like everyone
Yeah.
wants him to die. And
well, it's because he wants to.
But
That's
he
the
wants
point.
to. That's
he
the whole
wants
thing.
to.
Yeah,
Internally, he wants
he's
to die.
manifesting all this.
Exactly.
she's like, you
Like,
sent me
dude's
here
not
by
right.
myself, and now I'm all alone. It's just
The
like,
worst
what?
thing is this dude
But
isn't
it's
right.
not really her. It's his brain.
I know,
His
it's-
guilt doing it to him.
Yeah,
It
this
could be
dude
her in
isn't
the
right.
white hot room. That's where phoenixes go when they
Yeah,
die.
the dude's not right. He's got adamantium claws. He's got obviously some mental issues, and on top of that, he's dying.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, okay, this is a problem.
So
And he's
he,
in a foreign country, so
he-
it's like, no, okay.
he wakes up in a veterinary office where they are operating on him because he passed out, and she convinced the lady that ran the madam that ran the brothel to bring him to her grandson who is a vet.
Yeah, that's convenience right
The
there.
vet's very nervous because Wolverine, when he was knocked out in pain, sliced him up a bit with his claws.
Yeah,
He's got like all these little bandages. He's like, oh, stay over there. He's got a bandage.
it reminds me of if you've ever had a baby in your house, because if you had a baby in your house, those nails are the same thing.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
they-
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
they'll be sleeping and all of a sudden it's like slash across your face, and you're like, oh.
Man, my newest baby is freaking grabby hands like I've never seen. Like
Oh, that's the worst too, because they dig in. When they
Oh,
Grabby
my
Hands
God.
McGee.
Like you can't anticipate either because the hand goes and then the
That's why they
eyes
make
go,
'em cute,
it's-
so you
can't
don't kill 'em.
Follow their gaze. It is why, and it's why they have the pheromones in their head.
So we don't
Make
kill
him
them.
cute so we don't kill him.
It's true.
No, I
They
get
have
it.
pheromones that they release so you don't kill them.
Why do you think cats are around? The same difference. That's why they're cute. You keep them around. So
I did that, but anyway.
I love cats though. But I love dogs.
I'm a
too.
dog guy.
I love animals in general. I love dogs.
Jody loves babies.
And I love babies.
How many babies do you have,
Absolutely
Jody?
love babies. I don't have any now. But
No.
no.
Do you have
my
adult
youngest
children?
is 17.
Oh shit. Been around the block.
I like other people's babies though. Like I was at Jeff's wedding with Davin. I'm like, hey, got a baby? I'll take it.
I'll take that baby.
Yeah.
Also, it's
He's
like,
just like,
I
if
think
you
I
need
walked
anyone to
around
hold
with-
your baby during the wedding, just come get me. I hold babies.
I think I walked around with Michael Chan's baby for a while.
it's like
Oh, yeah.
Talladega Nights. He's just like, I'll sign that baby.
Yeah, I'll say that.
So anyway, he admits that he's not healing to Mariko. Something's up. But then we see Harada following the Viper lady. I don't remember, or Miss Green, I guess we'll refer
Miss
to her.
Green
Dr.
right now,
Green.
yeah.
And then he sees her, some guy hitting on her in an alley, and then she kisses him, and he falls down. And he
Not hitting on her, trying to solicit her for prostitution. So
Yeah.
she's a little offended. I didn't feel bad for that guy, really.
No.
Why? I mean, all you can say is I'm not
He's
a
like,
prostitute. Move on. You don't get killed,
Well,
of course.
Yeah, I don't think you need to kill the guy, but
Yeah.
if he was maybe grabby hands at the same time,
Yeah,
maybe.
Just because you see a good-looking lady doesn't mean she's a prostitute. I would be
true.
offended too. If I
Harada says, threatens her, basically trying to find out what her game is, and she, threatens him back with her abilities. Spits thing in his face, spits shit in his face, which makes him.
So the thing I always wondered is, does she carry around like vials and she just kind of throws it in her mouth before she's ready to spit on somebody?
I thought it was just part of her power. She
I
does
kinda think
mention
it's
that
part of
she's
her
immune
power.
to
I think it is
poisons,
part of her
I think
power, but
she
they don't
spits
explain it.
poison.
She has like little venom sacs or something. She has
So she must
reptilian-
only have
venom
one kind of
glands.
poison then.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Like face burny poison.
Face burny poison, yeah.
So you can kind of yada through a lot of this basically. So when we get into the love, so Wolverine and Yukio start kind of falling for each other. They decide to hide
Mariko.
out.
Mariko.
Oh, sorry, Mariko. As they're falling for each other. They
I would have
hide out-
actually liked it if it was Yukio better.
Yeah, I mean, I buy it. It's fine. They hide out in the original village where Wolverine saved you.
Well, it's more of a convenience thing for him, right? Because like he's completely off the knocker and she's around. So,
Yeah,
you know.
but but I mean, I think there's legitimate feelings there. They play it well enough.
Wolverine does tend to seem to go for the reserve types. Like Jean was sort of that type until she goes off
true.
Phoenix, and
'Cause
Silver
earlier-
Fox was a teacher, and like
Earlier, they were explained that she was with this guy that Wolverine thought looked like an asshole, and it turns out that's her fiance. They find out during this travel that it's an arranged marriage
Noboru.
by her husband or by her father.
Yeah, Nubaru or something. Yeah.
It's an arranged marriage
yeah.
by her father. She doesn't really like this guy, so they hide out in.
Which is Brian
Really?
T, which is awesome.
Class act like you.
He doesn't do a lot in this, but he's great.
That's DK,
Never
man.
took me.
You can't
He's
fuck
great.
with DK.
He's great in what he's in for sure.
I just
So they have like some moments hanging out in the village. He finds the place where they hid in the well. She tells him the story about how he has some flashbacks about like hiding down in the well before the radiation, I guess, passed out so they could come out. Where Yoshida tried to give him the sword then, and he said, "I'll come back for it someday. Like you hold on to it for me," and they kind of connect.
hold it with two hands.
Yeah, he shows him how to hold it properly.
Yeah.
That comes
which
up later.
It does. So then we see more of them falling in love with each other. They have sex. Then he has another dream about Jean wakes up with his claws out, and then Mariko tells him that her father always told them stories about the man that saved him in the well, and that when she had bad dreams, and that he would save her too. That he would protect her from the bad dreams as well.
Mhm.
So he's kind of like a legendary figure in their family because of what he is.
There's
There's also like
even figure out the fact that this guy is way older than her.
but
Well,
he's like
she knows he's as old as her grandfather.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying, right?
He was adult, and he was an adult then.
Like I kind
So-
of have to put that out of my mind with most Wolverine's relationships. He's too
That's
old for
true.
everybody he
Yeah,
ends
he's
up
too old
dating.
for everybody, technically. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, it's fair enough. But like,
but it's like, how would you connect to that person? Like, really? Like, what does he have in common with a 23-year-old? Like, nothing. No.
I would assume
And
she's
he's got like war stories to tell.
I would assume she's
Yeah.
like in her 30s or at least close to 30. But
Yeah. She
Oh yeah,
probably
yeah.
is.
I would say early 30s. Yeah.
so he goes back to sleep, wakes up when they're kidnapping her. Like she's not in the building, and then he finds the guys ushering her away. He goes off, tries to chase him down. They shoot him in the leg. He manages to get one of them out of the car and torture him and tell them where they brought her. He catches up with Yuriko, who tells him that she saw his death in a dream, and he's covered in blood and holding his own heart in his hand. It's not beating. So, and she tells him how much.
Hey,
the curse
Jody.
is-
Hey, Jody. Do I look like two bearded Batmen kissing?
A little bit.
Perfect.
She tells him that, and that it's a curse because she saw her parents die in a car accident. She couldn't stop. So
Well,
Wolverine
she didn't stop. She didn't say she couldn't. Like, she just didn't try or anything.
Right.
So she stopped keeping her counsel when it came to those things.
Right. So they follow the lead to go to where there were the people that hired the people to kidnap her, which is her fiance, who's having like a threesome with a bunch of prostitutes. Wolverine interferes. Basically,
I love this scene too.
Yeah.
It's just like, I thought when you get engaged, you're supposed to be done with all this bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, they want to kill her because Yoshida left everything to his granddaughter, which is part of the reason why her father was so upset with her and slapped her before, and wanted to try to kill herself.
Every time Noboru starts to talk, Wolverine just punches him in the face.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's pretty great. It's a great little scene.
It's like,
So,
stop hitting me.
Brian T is awesome. I love that guy.
The basic plot
He's
is that
good.
the father, he's working with the father to have her killed, so the father will inherit everything, and he'll get what he
Shingen.
thinks he deserves. Then
Kill his own daughter.
Wolverine throws him out a window, and he falls in the pool below, which has a great little line.
Yeah, I got that here.
Yeah. And he's like in his underwear. He's wearing cowboy boots.
I didn't.
I love that.
Yeah.
I just thought there was a pool down there.
And he's wearing like a tie he's wearing only like red underwear, a tie, and cowboy boots, which is really funny. So
But it's actually really written quite well too, because he tells Noboru, he's like, you're going to tell me the truth and everything you know, and if I don't like what I hear, I'm going to throw you out that fucking window. Oh, and I think I have that too. Yeah, I do.
Now, if I don't like what you say, you are going through that fucking window.
Yeah, that's the
So-
only F word in it.
so
too,
then-
which is
That's
one
what I
you're
love
allowed.
about this movie,
Yeah, the
though,
one
is
you're
just
allowed.
how they write his dialogue. Some of
so-
Wolverine's dialogue is
You're only
fantastic.
allowed one F word
He's
in,
pissed
a
off
PG-13 movie.
in this
so.
one.
Yeah, that was the only.
So
that was
then
the only
he
F-word.
does tell Wolverine everything, and he's still going to throw him out the window. He's just like, no, but I told you everything. And then he throws him out the window. He's just like, yeah, but I didn't like what I heard, which is what he told him. What he would do. He's like, I told
Hey,
you if I
he laid
didn't
down
like
the
it.
rules before that
He did.
conversation started.
He's like, it wasn't
he
about
kept
you
his
telling
word.
me everything. It was about me
about you
liking
telling me what I
you
liked.
said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I didn't like
Yeah.
it.
Didn't like it.
So then we see Shingen, who could have been called Harada, because he does wear the Silver Samurai armor here, briefly. But he anyway, we see him with his daughter.
Silver Samurai armor on?
The original Silver Samurai armor, the one that the family,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
the honor
The
of the
family
family,
one, yeah.
the family
Not the
one.
one that's in the lab later.
No, not the crazy one.
Yeah,
Not the
literally
Iron Man
everyone's the Silver Samurai except the Silver Samurai.
suit. Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, that's what they did.
So basically,
All red herrings.
there's a lot of those in this movie. So he basically is going to threatening to kill her. She says you're going to lose all your honor if you kill me. He says, I'm just going to let you kill yourself like you wanted to before. Basically, then they're attacked by a bunch of ninjas. He tries to run, but the ninjas overcome them. Mrs. Green is with them. She spits poison on him. He falls in the water, and they kidnap Mariko.
Mariko, yeah.
For the
So
second
then-
time.
For the second time. So then,
Yeah, this
they-
is
like the
there's
new
nothing but get
Jubilee.
abducted. Yeah, she's literally Jubilee. She's Japanese Jubilee. Yeah.
they get there, but it's too late. She's already been kidnapped. But they find evidence that they left a note on one of the bodies of his guards that says "Come and get her" with a picture of the castle. Like, obviously, it's a trap. I mean, it's like, hey, come to the trap. We have the trap. Yeah. So they know where to go, but then Wolverine notices that the jars are empty with those little robots in them, and he gets on the table and uses the X-rays to see that there's one on his heart, which is what's stopping his healing factor. From
Which
working.
for a 10-year-old effect still looked great.
Yeah.
I was really shocked by that one. Yeah.
So then he decides to try to operate on himself by using the X-ray machines to pull them out of his heart. Yuriko cautions him against it because she saw him dead with his own heart in his hand and thinks this is the moment that's coming.
Yeah.
Then Shingen, who is still alive after being poisoned, and we saw him grab a sword off of a wall, is wearing the Silver Samurai armor and comes in and attacks Wolverine. And he has a big sword fight with Yuriko.
Yukio.
Or
Yukio.
Yukio. Why do I keep saying Yuriko? Yukio. So Wolverine manages to get it out and then crush it. It falls apart in his hands, but he seems to flatline. And just as Shingen has the one up on Yukio and seems like he's going to win, Wolverine, like, he's going to bring the sword down on her and his claws come out and stop him, which is cool.
The reason you keep... Yeah, it was awesome. I like
Yuriko is the other one.
Exactly, Lady Deathstrike.
Yeah, Lady Deathstrike. So then Wolverine and him get in a big fight. Basically, Wolverine says he's got rid of all his honor. Like, how could he live with himself?
You know what? They shouldn't have wasted Lady Deathstrike in X2.
Yeah,
She
they
should
could have
been in
easily.
this movie.
It would have been cool.
They
if
could have
she
put
was
her
in
in
this.
here,
Would
yeah.
have been way better.
They could have had
Fake
any
Silver
other.
Samurai.
And it's
any
not like
other-
X2 didn't have like 1,000 fucking people in it anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
and they could have. If
didn't need
they
to be
needed a
her.
mutant,
She was just
they
one of
could
the
have
nameless
took out
characters
half
in
the
there.
damn cast and it still would have been okay.
It
could-
in the
it
same
was-
movie.
It could have been like they could have had any other number of mutant henchmen, but at the time they probably didn't know they would eventually get a Wolverine.
No,
they didn't
but
know
in
they were going
retrospect, it would have been better because then you could
Yeah,
have
for
fleshed
sure.
out a real Lady Deathstrike. It would
But
have been a
I look at
compelling
this
villain.
movie as being the bridging movie. Like this is the movie that bridges us to the time stuff, right? Like and all
Yeah.
that. So
Kind of. I mean,
well,
Does it?
I think it does from the cinematic aspect of things, but story wise, not really.
no, I don't think they intended that right here.
Yeah.
Because the movie following this is
Days of
Days of
Future
the Future Past.
Yeah, but
This
they tell
This is
you
what they
about
tease at the end.
they mention
but then that
the short
undoes-
guy, which I can't remember his name.
And then that Trask. Yeah, but
Trask.
that undoes everything that this movie ends in. They
True.
don't. Yeah. So it's like,
this franchise steps all over itself all the
Oh
time.
yeah, it's especially with the new ones. The new ones definitely.
well, you
I
kind
didn't
of
even see
that
the
last one
newest
was-
one yet.
after Days of Future Past, you kind
Oh.
of got to assume that it's a new timeline.
After
right?
you go
So-
Days of Future Past, you probably should just stop there.
you know what?
Oh,
I didn't think
I saw Apocalypse. It was awful.
Apocalypse was awful, but the Dark Phoenix wasn't that bad.
I
if
didn't see
recall
that
correctly.
one yet. I'm saving it for the.
It was
review.
certainly better than Apocalypse, and it was everyone was
Yeah,
like,
but
"It's X-Men
that's-
3
but
again," and it wasn't.
That's
It was
like
different.
polishing a turd. It's still a
Exactly.
turd. Like
It's
it
still
wasn't
it
that.
was
Like if I was gonna
Still-
give, if I gave Apocalypse a 2, I would give Phoenix probably a 2.5. Like it's not much better.
I would say it was like a 5, but it's been a
Oh,
while. I'd have to
no.
go back and watch. I think
go-
everyone.
But everybody has their-
Daniel reminded me that we're reviewing the Rogue Cut, Days of Future Past. The Rogue.
I know
Cut.
that.
I've never
I know.
seen it. Yeah,
Rogue
okay.
Cut's good actually. I liked it.
Well,
I have the Blu-ray.
You have the Rogue Cut Blu-ray. All right then.
So remember I told you I found it at the store?
Oh right.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like
you
literally
showed me the
we were talking about how this is the version to watch, and I was looking to see if it was a Disney Plus, and it wasn't. And then the next day I was in a used store, and somebody dropped a box of Blu-rays off in front of the shelf where they put them, and it was right on top, the Rogue Cut Blu-ray of it. So I was like,
Oh, nice.
it was like $1. I was like, I'll take this.
I got a pirated copy of it. I never found it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's out there apparently. I got one. So anyway, Wolverine and Yukio. So Wolverine gets in the fight with Shingen.
Disclaimer: we do not associate ourselves with Jody and his piracy.
I absolutely pirate, and I don't give a shit.
Jody is not a.
If I could
speaking
find it,
for-
I would buy it right now. But you know what? Make it hard for me to buy it. I'm gonna pirate it.
I guarantee you, if you go on Amazon and look at
Send
it,
me
you'll
that,
find
Jody.
it.
Send that along.
I think you already have access to my server anyway.
I do.
You got a secret black. That's even worse.
What?
That you have your own
Plex
server that
server.
you share with other people. Oh yeah, I have one of those too. Yeah, I do have a Plex server, but I don't share it. I don't share it. Just for me.
I share it for some reason.
Andre's
Jody-
a very
Jody,
secretive
it's-
man.
Jody, it's on Amazon for $22.50. It's easy
Is
to
it really?
find. The Blu-ray is, yeah, it's easy
Oh,
to find.
dude, I'm buying that while we're talking.
There's also a steelbook for $105.
I'm not buying a steelbook,
Yeah,
fuck
don't
that.
worry about that. I don't see a 4K, so I'm guessing I never got that. But there is a $22.50 Prime Blu-ray version, which is the one I have.
Is it used?
Nope. So anyway, they take off. Wolverine gets details from Yukio on where the place is. It's like an hour, 100 kilometers away, so they got to get there. We find out that Harada is working with, is all basically he was trying to temper Miss Green before when he threatened her and she got in his face. We kind of realized they all work for the same person, whoever will soon be revealed who that is.
I mean, it's the one thing about
No.
this movie is it is
Don't
kind
give
of
it until it
paint by
happens.
numbers in a lot of ways. Like it's
I
Just
think
an
the-
update, guys.
I
It's coming tomorrow.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I think the
I
reveal.
didn't know it was there. I would have got it.
That's all good. I don't care. The
what's coming tomorrow.
he ordered the.
I just
Rogue
ordered the
Cut.
Blu-ray.
Oh,
I've been looking for it for a while. I didn't know it was on Amazon.
Yep. So this is where we get the reveal, the big reveal. I thought the reveal about who the bad guy is was a little it was a little surprising.
It was
wasn't
underwhelming.
like it wasn't blowing you away.
it
but
was
like-
underwhelming because it would have been more interesting if it was anyone else. Like I would have been more interested if it was a big turn for Harada at the end, or if it was Shingen,
Well,
who's like the real villain.
I think it kind of was because the whole movie. Well, okay, anyway. So basically, Miss Green is bragging to Mariko about everything, about how like they're using adamantium to try to keep her grandfather alive and all this sort of stuff. And then they see this big crazy silver samurai armor, which is off to the side.
Here, Joey,
Wolverine
you
is
can
approaching.
Hold my baby through the screen.
I would love to. Look at that dude. He is awesome.
Her.
Oh, sorry, her. Excuse me.
Wolverine approaches the.
No, and I knew that too, and I just
You did.
brain fart. Yeah.
Wolverine approaches the castle and is warned by Harada that there are all these ninjas that have been their whole lives have been to protect the people inside of this castle. Wolverine fights a whole ton of them, but they manage to bring him down with a ton of arrows with ropes attached to them.
Oh, dude, do not pass over this scene. This scene is fantastic.
It's pretty great, but like, what am I going to say beyond what I said to people listening?
That somebody ggets mowed down. A bunch of people get mowed down by a snowblower. Like, come on.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the snowblower. Yeah, but it is a pretty great little scene. It's a really cool. One.
It's a good 5-minute action scene, and it is gory. They throw the blood everywhere on this one. By the time it's done, the white is gone. There's nothing but red, and it is fantastic.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old Lady Snowblood, those old movies that Tarantino always sort of homages.
It's very Tarantino. That's actually a very good explanation.
Well, I mean, it's very old school Japanese samurai movie, which is in turn very Tarantino.
Yes.
But so Wolverine wakes up after being pinned down with a ton of arrows to be strapped into the room with the big old sort of samurai armor. And Viper goads him into popping his claws, which is what they wanted. Then when he does, these things in the vice of his arms hold the claws out so he can't retract them, which is what she was goading him into. We come to find it.
He cut them off, didn't he? Oh, no,
not yet.
One.
Yeah. Not yet.
He does eventually.
Not even here. It comes a little later. So
it comes later on. Sorry.
Harada bone claws.
Harada wants Mariko to kind of like eschew all this stuff and carve her own path and marry him. But she stabs him in the leg and runs off because she wants to save Wolverine. She's in love with him.
Those are coming.
Yeah. Then Yoshida, seeing that this is who she wants and he loves her, kind of sides with her a bit. When Viper's about to fuck him up, Yoshida shoots her with an arrow and she falls off to the side. But she survives, and we see her peeling off her own skin, and her own hair comes off with her own skin.
Which was kind of neat.
Yeah, she's like a reptile. She's got the yellow eyes and the forked tongue and the scales and stuff.
I like that they didn't focus that much on it.
No, it just happens. It's not like it's a big thing. It just
kind of happens. It's not a big deal.
So it was just like what? Because her skin got injured, so she just gave herself a fresh
she just
one.
shedded herself her skin. Yeah.
But then the armor comes to life, and the armor comes to life and is going to cut off Wolverine's claws. But when that happens is when an arrow comes in and hits the thing, and then hits her, and she goes flying. So
Silver Samurai arrow.
Wolverine's still in the fight.
Samurai arrow.
Oh, I like that.
That is good.
So the samurai suit is made out of adamantium, we learn, and so is the sword, which heats up. It's like visually it's cool. I mean, it's kind of like a big Iron Man armor, but he doesn't really fly around on rockets and stuff. It's just like a big armor suit. But it looks pretty close to the comic version, so it's not bad.
I mean, it's a bit silly. It looks more like a transformer than a piece of samurai armor. But
no, it looks very much like a samurai armor. It's just big, which is why you don't like it. Like, look at that. That's samurai
I think the design's
armor.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I do too.
What are those things on the arms? Like, what's going on?
When Davin doesn't like something, it's the edges of that. See how it like?
Yeah, okay. It looks better from that side.
So, and he has two swords.
That's actually that shot's not as bad.
But. He has two swords. Wolverine managed to get one in the fight, but it's essentially, they're trying to cut off his claws.
I like how he still has the thing attached to one of his wrists.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Wolverine manages to slice off the head of the robot and take out the arm, and kind of charge it off a thing where it falls down, and then Yukio gets in a fight with Viper, who's using all her spitting powers. During the fight, Wolverine is like
that was kind of cliche in a way. Like they're having the boss fight, and like so many movies have the boss fight, but you also have to have at the same time the
side boss
fights.
Yeah,
I was like, I
your sidekick has to be able to.
Fight
something. Yeah, like
I guess so.
She did most of the work through most of this movie anyway. Like,
man, Yukio's awesome. I'm not complaining about Yukio. She's the best.
Yeah, and she kills Viper pretty greatly. Like there's this thing where she uses the
Viper didn't have a very good chance in that fight.
No, but she uses like a whip to like hook her, and then hook her to like like an elevator cord, which pulls her up and then pulls. But when it pulls her down, the other thing comes down and like takes her head off.
Just takes her right off. Yeah,
pretty solid. But during the fight, Wolverine is about to slip and fall, and the samurai is still active even without the head.
Sorry, I'm making faces at the baby.
Yeah, he's entertaining my baby. That's fine.
It's good. Baby needs to be entertained.
What Jody doing?
So during the fight, Wolverine got both his claws cut off by the sword, but then manages to realizes that his two hands activate the flaming part of the sword, which activates it and uses to take the head off. So then when he charges it, they fall down a bunch of things into another area. He's going to slide off and fall. The seemingly robotic samurai reaches out and grabs him, and then little drills come out into the holes from his claws and start taking out his adamantium.
Yeah.
Then we are revealed to there's someone in this suit. It's not just a robot, and it is Yoshida, who is still alive. And this is all a subterfuge to trick Wolverine into getting him in a position in which they could take his adamantium.
That funeral is fake.
If you're paying attention, they do tell you that he's not dead.
Where?
They do say that Yukio didn't anticipate his death.
That's true, because he wasn't dead. That's right,
because he wasn't dead.
She does say that she didn't when she tells Logan that he died earlier on.
Something I don't think we mentioned about the character at all during this entire review, which is she can foresee that.
We said that several times.
Did we? I must have missed it. I'm sorry.
Actually, that's a good point, Devin, because I did forget that she did say I didn't see it coming. Like I didn't foresee it when.
No, he
tells
tells
Logan
that
he
to
died.
her. He's like, you didn't see the old man die.
I thought she said when she's teary eyed and she says that he died. She says I didn't see it.
Oh,
Yeah, I
maybe
didn't see it
both.
happening or something.
Yeah, I
like
didn't
that.
see it
think
happen
she
or
said-
something like that.
Yeah.
So he starts pulling the adamantium out of Wolverine.
Which is an awesome scene too.
It actually is pretty cool.
I love her answer when he says like, "Do I die on this plane?" Because it's like all this. It's a shitty plane and there's all this turbulence. She's just like, "You do not die on this plane." Like the way she says it, almost like it sounds like he's gonna die on.
He's
some
gonna
other
die on a plane, but
Yeah,
he's not this one.
you do
Yeah.
not die on this plane. And she's like, "You die with your heart in your hand." He's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's weird."
Which is like some people have said is sort of an allegory for how he dies in Logan. But
Yeah, I know. They might have tried to play back to that.
well, it's the same director, so
It
you
is
know.
the same director, yeah.
Yeah, James Mangold directed this too. So then it's kind of vague on like I'm guessing they just worked out the technology to be able to do this because like Yoshida's becoming younger as he's taking the adamantium out of Wolverine and taking his healing factor, but before he can finish the process, he is like hitting the head with a sword thrown from or like a dagger.
A lot of movies use the trope of when I heal, I can also regenerate back to a younger form, which is kind of weird, but a lot of
That's
movies
why
do that.
Wolverine.
Yeah, and like at what
always
age
young.
does it cap out at?
Yeah,
Like,
when
at
does
what
it
point
stop?
Does your
Like, are you
brain
gonna
go,
end up
okay,
being
22
like, is this
is
like
the
a
age you're gonna
Benjamin
become-
Button type situation where
You have to stop at a certain point and you become a baby.
Yeah.
And maybe that's kind of like the Beyonder in Secret Wars 2. Like he did that where he was like trying to become a new form and he just de-aged himself into a baby.
Yeah.
But so Wolverine and it's also funny whenever they do a process which is going to like take all of your power and kill you and they stop it at like 98%. You just go back to being fine. It's like,
you're fine now.
fuck you up
Pretty quick.
And Wolverine like
you
Advance
didn't get
stands
it
up.
all, so you don't get any of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so she
Yeah, because
picks
he
up-
has like no regen either. Like they when they finally take him out,
he's just
if
younger.
he had Wolverine's powers, he'd have been fine. Like,
Well,
but he-
actually, I forgot a key point. So Mariko picked up the broken piece of Wolverine's claws and threw those and used them to kill Yoshida. Basically, stabbed him in the head and then
that's
stabbed
right,
him in the neck.
She's a badass.
So Wolverine uses the bone claws to slice through, use the sword, I think, to bust open, like rip open part of the suit. Starts ripping all these pieces out that are keeping him alive. Uses his bone claws, which come out now because his adamantium's gone, to kill Yoshida, stab him, and then he just falls down. He says,
stole Wolverine's regen is still a bit of a MacGuffin. Like
it is a
they
little
kind of
bit
gloss over most of that.
But do you have the line at the end where he says you told me to come here and say goodbye? You must have that one.
No,
It's so cheesy. Oh, come on. So Wolverine pulls all the pieces out and then stabs him like right up through the thing and goes, "You wanted me to come say goodbye. Sayonara." And it's like, and he falls, and then he falls down off the side of the cliff.
But that's what I was talking about earlier. Like a lot of
that's
a lot
comic
of the
booky
dialogue
as
for
well.
him is very comic booky, which is great.
Yeah.
But they make it in a realistic setting, so it's almost like it crosses over. It's really weird.
And Wolverine, from his injuries, falls down and has a final scene with Jean where she's saying, "Hey, this is your chance. You could just let go now and come to me." And he says, "No."
Because
He
just sneak another horrible scene into this movie. Why not?
I don't think it's
Let's
horrible.
get one
It's
more
okay.
Gene.
It's
It's not
okay.
horrible, but
It's not
it's
horrible.
also like I get it. It's supposed to be the end of his. It's supposed to be the end of his
his
downy.
grief of it.
Yeah, where he's come to accept like he's found love with someone else. He knows that there's more for him in life than just what he's lost.
Yeah.
So he says like, "I'm not ready to go. Someday, but not now." And she turns and walks off in the afterlife, I guess. And then we get a little thing. We see him, getting back on a plane to go back on adventures in America with Yukio. He has a moment with Mariko where she asks him to stay and be with him, and he says that he's a soldier. He needs to go find his next war, basically. I always find these movies funny because the good guy can never stay with the girl. It's always like, no, I gotta go fight.
things to do.
You can't go fight your fight and still be with her. Like you can just come back to. She's got a private jet. You can just go to the States, do some heroin, and come back.
I also like Yukio's line too because he's like surprised she's on the plane.
Yeah,
and she's just like, "Well, you need your bodyguard."
yeah. She said that she was.
She's not wrong
bodyguard.
though because literally she saved his ass like 3 or 4 times in this movie. So
Yeah, and she says, "Where we go?" And he says, "Up." And she goes, "Where then?" He says, "Let's just start with that." So he's not sure where yet.
Yeah.
Then we get some credits, and then we get a little
the
brief
final
sequence that, of course, we need to tie into, the what it's
I
going on the
liked
other.
it though.
I thought it was fine,
I
although
thought they did a
it
good
doesn't
job.
make sense at all, and I'll explain why in a minute, which I'm sure you
Yeah.
two picked up.
Yeah.
So he goes into sees an ad for Trask at the airport, which are talking about all this new technology that's going to keep people safe. Then when he's getting ready to go through the metal detector, and this is why I think.
Do you want the pat down? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he says I'll take the pat down, but that
Yeah.
would imply that he would have a metal skeleton still, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which maybe they only got part of him and not all of his adamantium. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the bone, maybe the claws.
Well, realistically, he still has 2% in him.
Well, also when he goes to stab Magneto in that very scene, Magneto just stops him.
Yeah. So that's why I feel like there's something hinky with this that they.
I don't think they thought about it.
I think it was more just to.
Well, the bone claws would be CGI, right? So when they filmed this, they may have thought that it was adamantium claws. Maybe there's a change.
They CGI'd his claws for like all the movies after the first one.
So anyway, he's about to go through. He sees all the metal getting messed up. The detector turns around, sees Magneto, goes to pop his claws to attack, and Magneto stops him using his powers. It says
but
that
the best thing is when all of a sudden everybody just stops.
Yeah, and
you're like, oh, obviously.
Well, Wolverine says he says that there's a terrible machine coming or this terrible thing coming that's going to wipe out all mutants and needs Wolverine's help. Wolverine says, "Why should I trust you?" He says, "You shouldn't." And then Wolverine notices that everyone around them is frozen.
Yeah.
And then
he kind of clues in and he turns around and then he sees
Professor X wheel up and say, like, you're not the only one with the gift. I told you before, you're not the only one with the gift slogan. Wolverine says, how? Like, how's he still alive? And he says, you're not the only one with the gift slogan. And then
I had resurrection powers this whole time.
Well, do you remember that whole stupid thing that we talked about, which was kind of like at the end of X-Men, The Last Stand. They were talking about putting someone's brain in that body, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then at the end he says Moira because he's in the body, and she says Charles, and that's how it ends. And there was a whole. And I think
that's
I brought
right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So a lot happened in between these movies for poor Charles. But they also acknowledge. Apparently, there's like a cut scene where they explain that guy was like Charles's twin brother, who was born like Charles' mental abilities totally took it all from the twin. Yeah,
so he literally took over his
own dead twin brother's body, so he's in the same body. Very soap opera-y.
It's not fishy about that.
That's never explained in the movies, but that was something that was how they sort of.
Kind of glad they didn't.
Yeah, it's
Hello.
And there we go. That is the Wolverine.
That is the Wolverine.
Directed by James Mangold. Who went on to
baby
do
sounds for the
Logan, who was very popular, and also recently did the either much heralded or much maligned, depending on who you ask, latest Indiana Jones movie.
It was better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I actually liked it. I don't know. It
wasn't bad.
Fans have like a lot of nerd fans have a lot of really contentious relationships.
The problem is there's a lot of fans out there that once they have a set way that somebody is supposed to act, every movie has to be like that. But that's not what that movie's about. Yeah.
This is what I always say, and I think this is pretty much it. I say that like nerds, fans. I don't want to say just nerds. I'm a nerd, whatever. But fans build in their head what they want this to be. They're like, in the Star Wars movie, it'd be so cool if this girl is Obi-Wan's niece, or this person is related to this, or this happens this way. And they built up this perfect story in their head about how it would all come together in such a wonderful way. Then they go watch the movie. It's not the story they built in their head, and they don't like it because it's not the perfect story.
Now it's terrible.
And now it all sucks because it's not what they, what way they want it to be. And that's what makes people bitter and angry. It's like, just try to approach everything on its own merits and enjoy it in that own way.
I think the Solo movie for Star Wars was the one that did me in on that.
I
expected so much more from that.
I actually really like that movie. So
it's not like bad, but it's no
a space
Rogue
western.
One. Rogue One's better though.
I like it better than Rogue One. I'm sorry.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I
okay.
know.
Well, that's a nice thing about opinions.
I like Rogue One. Nothing wrong with that.
I love Rogue One.
And I loved Andor. I just finally watched it.
I still haven't seen all of it.
I like it. I feel like for a good portion of it, they seem to be apologizing for being a Star Wars show. And then eventually,
I apologize to the X-Goons because this isn't a Star Wars podcast. So
we're talking about nerddom.
Andre and I are just kind of nerding on our own way here.
No, but we're talking about fandoms and when people are upset about those sort of things. So anyway,
we have to rate this.
I like this movie a lot, so I'm giving it. What are you going to give it, Jody? Let's see what Jody says.
Yeah, I think Jody go first here.
You know what? This one's a hard one for me because I really enjoy this movie, but I know it has faults.
Yeah.
So it does. Quite a few
of
them.
Well, I wouldn't say it's got quite a few of them, but it definitely
Less than most X-Men movies, though.
absolutely.
Also, like because it's only around one character, it's not like you have so much stuff that
You don't have to, you don't have to play so much, and you don't have to cater to more things, right? You know what? I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna get it an 8.5.
Nice.
It's.
We don't do halves, do we?
You don't do halves, no.
No,
Oh,
we
you don't do halves.
halves.
Okay,
No.
then let's do an 8 then.
We're men of conviction.
Okay, 8.
I'm also going to give it an 8.
Ooh, high praise. High praise. What's
I
my
gave
highest
it-
so far?
I gave it
X2, I gave
3.5
6.
stars on Letterboxd, which is, out of 5 is pretty good.
I will say, for me, this one, in some ways, I like it better than X2, but in some ways, it's a little more.
Who is your guest on the original X-Men?
Cousin Dave.
Right.
Dave Mater?
Yeah.
because they
He
filmed
gave it a
there.
9. Really?
He loved it.
Yeah, he loves that movie.
I gave it an 8. I was pretty close. Like,
It's a good start. It doesn't age as well as it could have.
I'm
No,
gonna
but
give
for-
the Wolverine you know what? In some ways, I like it better than X2.
Give it a
I
7.
might give
That's what you want,
it a 7. Yeah.
Yes.
I
That's
think
fair.
7 is still respectable. For that.
Yeah.
Too many things about X2 still kind of anger me a bit. Whereas this one, if other than the stupid Silver Samurai switcheroo, it's
I can't
pretty-
believe that The Last Stand, you guys actually gave it that high of a rating.
You know what? It wasn't as bad as I thought. And
It's still pretty bad, but it
It's
had
bad.
moments. It had
I don't think
And
I
you
would have
know,
went that high. I think I would have went
and-
maybe like 3 max.
Davin
and
gave
even
it
though
the
I
highest
gave
rating that
Wolverine-
all of us did. Like we
Did I? Yeah.
yeah, you gave it a 5.
I
We all gave it 4s.
Wow.
Yeah, that one didn't. It entertained me.
I
so
think
bad.
out of your ratings here, though, I think you guys are pretty spot on for most of the stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
I love
you
X-Men
know.
too.
I like First
Honestly,
Class,
I
but I
gave-
don't like it a 7. So I'll say
Yeah.
whoever gave it a 7.
I gave it a 6.
6, I think, would be
First-
about a max. I'd give it.
First
It was-
Class
it was-
was,
I was
worse
surprised-
than I remembered.
The-
It was
the one-
pretty bad.
The one things I find about this
boring,
the show
too.
has been finding things that I remember liking and then disliking more when I watch them again now, and then things that I remember really hating and then liking a little more when I watch them
That's
again.
what this has
Well,
been for me too.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what's nice about rewatch stuff, right? Because like you have this thing in your head where you're like, hey, I really enjoyed that. Like I remember seeing the first one in the theater, and I remember thinking it was a fantastic movie. And then when you go back to it 10, 15 years later, you're like, this isn't really that great. Like it's decent, but it's not great.
It's the way I felt about X2. I was expecting to give it a 9 like everybody else.
You know what? I haven't seen X2 in a long time.
It's still really good.
I remember enjoying it.
It's still really good.
But I also remember that there was a lot of character fatigue with that movie. Like there was just more characters than there needed to be.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
All right. So we ready for some fun facts about this movie?
Do it.
All right. So when young Yoshida gives Wolverine the samurai sword, it has 6 kanji letters engraved on it. They read "Never died, never aged, never destroyed" on the sword, which is a little nod. He got help with he did a dehydration diet, which is why he looks so ripped. He also got some tips from The Rock on how to bulk up for it. He also claimed this was the best physique he's ever
That's
been.
what dehydrated looks like right
Yeah,
there.
he said it's the best.
No, that's what dehydrated looks like on a good-looking dude like him. On me, it wouldn't look like that.
Come now, Jody. Come now.
Slightly. He also said that his physique this is the physique he always wanted for Wolverine, but never had enough time to train to do it. This time he did, and he claimed this was the best physique he's ever been in for the role, which I probably agree with so far.
I think this is probably the best representation of Wolverine that he's done.
He's not as big. He's sinewy. He's like kind of more.
He's got that
leaner
kind of
and
squirrely but lean thing going on. Yeah.
They redesigned his claws for the movie. They're a little more angular. They're also a little lower on his hand, more closer to his palm, which scientifically makes a little more sense. They say between his fingers instead of like here instead of up here. There's an alternate ending film where Yukio gives Logan a box that contains the yellow Wolverine mask from the comics. It's available on the Blu-ray disc for extra features.
I know I've seen it. So I must have saw it on like YouTube clip or something.
And you see the pictures of like the open.
Actually, I
suitcase
have
with
the Blu-ray
helmet in it all the time.
Yeah, I have the Blu-ray. Maybe
I did forget to mention that when talking about the movie that Harada turns around and tries to help Wolverine and gets killed by the Silver Samurai. He gets gutted. Actually, it looks rough because the sword is like the size of a fucking
man.
It's huge.
I almost want to drop it down to a 6 for that. Not only is he not the Silver Samurai, he gets killed by the Silver Samurai.
He does try to help.
Anyway.
So in the movie, Yukio and Viper are mutants, where Harada is not. It's the other way around in the comics.
Yeah.
The movie was scheduled for release in Japan in mid-September, more than a month after its release. This was to avoid insensitive screenings during the early August anniversary of the attack on Nagasaki.
Would make perfect sense there.
I'm sure that's a bit more of an effective scene, even in Japan.
Yeah,
I was watching it.
I thought it was a great way to start the movie, though.
I think it was really cool, actually. Yeah, the whole scene where he gets fucked up by the bomb was really cool too.
Because you're almost confused by what's going on at the beginning. You're like, okay, this is obviously like World War II by the looks of it, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden you see the bomb thing, and you're like, oh shit. Okay, now I know what we're doing.
Hugh Jackman was a big fan of the Chris Claremont, Frank Miller Wolverine comics that this is sort of inspired by. So he's really happy to do this movie. Guillermo del Toro almost directed it. He was interested, which would have been really cool.
That would have been interesting.
I know.
Yeah.
Cool. I love his movies. He met with Hugh Jackman and James Giannopoulos.
The only downside to him doing it, though, would be you'd have way more scenes with Jean Grey.
Probably.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he would have way more.
Because he likes dreamy
stuff.
sequences and
he
shit.
loves dreamy shit.
And like ghosts and stuff. Actually, no. You know what? He probably would have done it. He would have done. No, you know what? He probably would have done it in a way that would have been like more like horror way, where she's like a ghost visiting him.
Well,
and
she's trying to. Yeah, she would have made it so she was kind of like trying to talk him constantly into killing himself.
Yeah,
like that's probably what you would have did. Yeah,
which would have been better actually.
It is what
in
she's
a way
doing,
that kind of would have been.
She's like, you left me here by myself. Come join me.
She's doing it, but this is also a manifestation of his guilt, right? So this is kind of makes more sense this way. But
apparently, Mangold had said that the movie had started out as a prequel to X-Men, but later he decided to make it a sequel because he wanted to tell a story without the burden of handing it off to a film that already exists, so that it has to conform to it. And also, he said the idea of immortality weighing heavily on someone is a big part of it, and it's that's harder to explore in a prequel when
when you know how he acts later on.
Yeah, I guess that part's true, but I feel like it would have been a bit better as a prequel. We would have got more into Wolverine's past, and it wouldn't have been hampered by the whole Jean Grey thing.
But then it wouldn't have made so much sense because he wouldn't be tortured by
He could be tortured by the million other horrible things that happened in his life previously.
We don't know that at this point. You'd have to explain all that.
2-minute scene and show it.
Yeah, that's not fair. I think this works well the way it works.
I like it better as after myself.
Let's see here. So Yukio's hair was dyed for the movie, which the character isn't in the comic.
No.
They filmed the green screen thing on wires when they're on the train, which is pretty cool. When Mariko recounts her nightmares, Kazuri is the person she refers to, which is Japanese for Wolverine. According to Hugh Jackman, Wolverine being surrounded by death while being unable to die due to his healing factor is a major theme in the movie. He realizes everyone he loves and dies, and his whole life is full of pain. So it's better just to escape it, which is a big theme. They did talk about an R-rated cut of the film, but it was changed. Make it PG-13.
Didn't need it. It was kind of gory anyway.
Another person up to
direct. It was pretty gory. Yeah.
Another person up to direct this was Darren Aronofsky.
Oh, that would have been weird.
Who was originally set to direct and worked on the project for 6 months before leaving.
Nah, I'm kind of glad they didn't.
He just separated from. He was with Rachel Weisz, and they just separated. He wrote he worked on the screenplay, which actually explains some of the headier aspects of this because his movies are full. I love his movies, all of them, and they're full of stuff.
His movies are good, but I don't think this is a character you want in a movie he does.
I'd be very curious to see the universe where that happened, though, just to watch that movie and see what it's like.
I don't think you're gonna like that ending, though. But anyway,
sorry, which character was played by Hal? Where's he at here? There's a character in the movie. Yoshida. Yoshida speaks fluent Italian, and he dubbed his own voice for the Italian version of the movie.
That's kind of neat.
Simon Kinberg wrote the mid-credit sequence. It was shot on the set of X-Men Days of the Future Past. So that may explain where they're going with They may not even known that he was going to have bone claws in the other movie, which is why they may have just filmed it thinking that he ends up with metal claws, and then they had to change it.
I know that the girl who played Mariko, and hopefully I don't break one of your fast facts here, but
Fine
I
if
know
you do.
that it was this was her first acting gig.
Oh, really? She's really good.
Yeah, this was her first.
I mean,
This was her
fine.
debut.
She was
okay. I wouldn't say she was an amazing actress, but
No.
I think for her first time, I think she did pretty good.
Yeah.
In one version of the script, Rogue was in it. She was going to come to try to
Road
convince.
cut.
Yeah, she's going to come and try to convince Wolverine to come home, and end up joining him on his adventure. But they decided they
It'd be
wanted to
funny
make
if
it
they
more.
eventually release a.
I don't
road
think
cut
that
of
would've been
every
good.
single X-Men movie.
Yeah, Rogue's in
Everyone
every
has a
movie now.
road cut. Yeah.
But he wanted to make Logan more isolated, which is why they did what they did.
Yeah, I think this is better for this story.
Yeah, I'm not big on the Rogue Wolverine relationship anyway. It's supposed to be
Yeah, me
Jimmy or
neither.
Kitty.
The Silver Samurai suit was based on a model that has been 3D printed and chrome painted using electrolysis, which is kind of cool.
That's pretty good.
doo-doo-doo-doo. He only appears shirtless in one scene in the movie.
This one?
Which is funny because he appears shirtless in almost every movie he's in a lot. So
He's like, I got in the best
you're
shape
like-
I've ever been in. They're like, you didn't need to.
Yeah, keep your
actually,
shit on.
He's like, God damn it, that was so much work.
the taxi sign on the roof of the taxi outside the Love Hotel has the X-Men logo on it. This is
really?
the,
I didn't see that. Yeah.
this is
I
the only
missed that.
movie in the franchise without opening credits.
Oh yeah, there is no.
They don't show the
opening
opening
Just-
title even until the end. It doesn't say the Wolverine until the end.
Yeah, it says the Wolverine at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, that had a nice effect to it, I think.
They filmed 13 weeks in Australia and 4 weeks in Japan.
Which is funny considering most of the movie takes place in Japan. So you would think it'd be the other way
What did
around.
they film in? They just went to like Australia to film bed scenes with Jean Grey.
Probably yeah, that's pretty funny. Probably a lot of the inside stuff, like when they're inside buildings.
Well, I'd
and
imagine
stuff,
it's probably easier to
all on
shoot.
soundstage. Yeah, it's probably all on
It's probably
soundstage.
easier to shoot in Australia than it is to shoot in Japan.
Some of the weapons the ninjas used were reused from the Matrix. It was the same guy that designed a lot of those.
I was gonna say that thing that strangles the heart looked like something out of the Matrix.
The bolo created for Trinity in the Matrix is reused in the movie. One of the ninjas used it with an axe attached at the end, in the Ice Village sequence.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I know what you're talking about.
So Wolverine's response after being asked, "How did you know there was a pool down there?" "I didn't," is a reference to the James Bond movie Diamonds Are Forever,
Yes.
where the gangster quips, "I didn't know there was a pool down there," after throwing Plenty O'Toole out of a window.
Yeah.
Originally, the mutant samurai Psylocke was in the movie. Priyanka Chopra Jonas was considered for the role, but she's written out later.
That would have been terrible cast.
That would have sucked.
And if you look in the background, you can see a guy wearing a hat with the Spider-Man logo on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They mentioned the stunt work gets more grittier in this. Jessica Biel was offered the role of Viper, but she turned it down.
I think the person that they got a Russian actress, I believe.
I feel like I've seen her in something else. I can't figure out
She's
what.
been in a lot of stuff. She was in
so hard.
what was it? I'm just trying to remember the name of the fucking movie now. It's like a spy movie.
Oh, yeah.
you need
Tinker
a third
Tailor
hand when you
Soldier
have a
Spy.
baby.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she was in that.
According to Main Gold, this movie is influenced by Japanese samurai movies like 13 Assassins, Hiroshima Inagani's Samurai Trilogy, which is classic, The Western Chain, The Outlaw Josie Wales, The French Connection, Chinatown, Black Narcissus, which I mean to watch, Floating Weeds, Chungking Express, and Happy Together from 97. Let's see.
Where that one?
This is the first X-Men
were-
movie to have an extended version on its Blu-ray release.
Well, and they
Really?
were instead of calling they were gonna call this movie Logan
Logan.
instead of Shogun,
I hope not.
and then they were gonna
That's
call
terrible.
it the Wolverine, but they didn't go with that either.
I'm
They
kind of
ended
glad
up
they
going
went with
the
what they went
Wolverine
with.
in the end.
The
So
Walking Dead.
is the segment like fun facts and then it's like false facts with Devin or
Yeah.
We don't have a fun fact segment. That's just something Andre's
okay.
gonna tackle.
Well, because Davin was sort of talking about doing what we like and dislike, but we sort of cover all that when we talk about the movie, so
Yeah.
it's easier to
Makes
do.
Works better.
I think this stuff's a little better. So the bear was a mixture of CGI and practical effects, of course. It was done by Weta, who is Peter Jackson's company.
oh
Which
okay,
is fun. And the
looked
bear
pretty
actually
good.
looked pretty good, yeah.
they look pretty good.
And some of the special effects used for the Crispy Logan when he's mixed up by the bomb.
Crispy Logan. Yeah.
Extra spicy Logan.
Will Yun Lee was also featured in another Marvel comic book movie. If you'll forget, he was in Elektra from 2005.
I tried to forget.
I tried to as well.
I did very much try to forget.
I used to own that movie on VHS. No, it was a DVD actually.
And you may also
I've never bought the movie, nor have I even bothered to pirate it.
you may recognize Rila Fukushima, who plays Yukio from Batman vs Superman. She plays Mercy, Lex Luthor's henchman
yes.
as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Fucking hate that movie.
It's bad.
It's very bad.
Yeah.
Jessica Henwick, who played Colleen Wing, was considered for the
she's
role as
great.
well. She was considered for the role of Yukio as well.
Oh,
Now
would've been
that I
okay.
could see. Yeah, I could see that. I think they got the right Yokio though.
Oh, here's the information you needed about that. So the movie was being shot on 6 sound stages at Fox Studios Australia.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay.
They used those for The Matrix, Moulin Rouge, Mission Impossible 2, Star Wars
Yeah, I know
2,
the Matrix was shot
Star
there.
Wars 3, and Superman Returns.
Oh, so they only went to Japan for the bed shots with Gene.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Everything else was done on sound stages.
All the outside stuff, I'm guessing.
No, the
all the
outside
inside
stuff.
stuff, I'm guessing, was done on
The
sound
temples and stuff, they would have been cheaper
The
just to
bullet
shoot
train.
there.
stages. Yeah, for sure.
Australia probably doesn't have a bullet train.
No bullet train system.
No.
But what a shitty movie for like Pumpkin Jessum's like hired to just play Jean in some flashy, you know, she probably had one day of filming, got all that done. So it's probably an easy payday for her.
Not only that,
I'll
she
tell you.
didn't even really have to film with anybody. She could have just
No, it was all in a bed with Logan or just standing in the.
But,
But
you
she
don't
doesn't
see
even-
him. Yeah,
but you don't
exactly.
see him with her. Like she's
Oh, that's
always
true.
just there, right? So
There's
That
the
would have
one
been
where
done
he
over
stabs her.
Zoom these days.
well, he stabs her, yeah, but they could have just used the double for that.
Yeah, they could have.
Yeah, they could have.
I'm willing to bet they weren't even on the same stage together ever.
It'd be interesting to find that out, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
don't know
that's
if I
it.
care
Those are
enough
all my
to look
fun
that up,
facts. No, I don't really either.
Overall, it's worth a watch. I
think it's a solid movie.
I think if you enjoy the X-Men movies, I think it's a solid watch. It is more gory,
Better.
more actiony, and better than most of them for sure.
And also, like, it's a great lead into Logan, which is a great movie too. So you know,
Yes. Yeah.
I think we'll see. I think that one maybe is overstated in its greatness.
Logan,
I think well, one thing it has in common with this one is the best thing is Yukio. In Logan, the best thing is X-23. So they keep finding cool like female badasses for these Wolverine movies
yeah.
to elevate them.
yeah, good point.
Yeah, I can't say I was a massive fan of Logan. Like I like the
neither.
story of Logan. I liked a lot of the dialogue, but I can't say I liked the movie that much. I don't think it was.
I
shot
thought the
very
third
well.
act really fell apart. Like,
Oh, the third act's terrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is the worst part of that movie for sure.
It's usually the worst part of most movies.
most
in
movies,
a lot
yeah,
of scenarios,
but
yeah.
some worse than others.
I don't know. I think the third act in this one was pretty solid.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I was okay.
No, it's when they bring out Robo Samurai. It's definitely the worst.
It
Robo
wasn't
Samurai.
Robo Samurai. It was just a big, huge.
The second act
outfit.
of this movie is pretty great. That's like
great
that's
body
like
suit.
bullet train scene. That's him throwing Nobu out the window. Like all the good shit.
Did you watch
All-
that? Did you watch that Brad Pitt Bullet Train movie?
Yeah,
No.
I didn't
It's-
like it as much as everybody else did. I liked it.
I
but I
liked
didn't-
scheduled to come
I
up on
liked it.
Hold Up, I believe.
I liked
Oh,
it,
really?
but
I liked it.
everybody like loved it. We're like creaming their pants.
I wouldn't
about
say
it. And
I
was-
loved it, but
yeah,
I think
I was like, I liked
it. was
It's fine.
surprisingly good.
Yeah, I said
Like
I
going
liked
into it,
It's
you're like,
fine.
oh, Brad Pitt on a train.
It does remind me of one of those Japanese movies, though. Like,
like
the idea
Snakes
that
on a
it's just sort of
Plane,
a
Brad Pitt
hapless,
on a
a
train.
hapless hitman that just sort of blunders his way through all these
It gave
big
me
fights.
Train to Busan vibes.
With
you've
the
ever seen
zombies.
Yeah,
Zombie. Yeah,
Gave me a bit of that vibe.
I'd say more like those Jackie Chan like police story kind of movies. You know, where he's just
Oh
sort of
yeah,
like,
for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
Anyway,
Speaking
all right,
of
Deb.
Busan, how about Booza? Did you check out our interview with George Booza?
I didn't
pretty
actually. I
great,
didn't check it out at all.
I didn't either.
Well, you should have been there.
In fact, I was, but I just
Oh,
checked out mentally. My brain left my body.
Sometimes
my mind,
it's just hard when you got talent like
Before
that,
we
right?
started, Andre's just like, oh, I'm really tired. I don't feel very good. But once we got going, we were like
He
2
was-
hours
he
in,
was
and Andre's
zippy,
like, actually, I have more questions.
Well, I was ready to wrap it up, and then he's like, let's keep talking. I'm like, okay. You know,
Yeah,
like, so,
sure.
yeah, he was great. Really fun to talk to. I had a good time talking to him.
Yeah, man. He's got some good stories for sure.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
You guys
So,
always have some good guests on this.
Yeah, we do.
Well, this
and
is-
present company included.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
well,
know,
thank you.
we're the hottest young X-Men podcast on the block. You know,
I believe it.
we're where the cool kids hang out. That's what I say. Most X-Men pages are like Rogue's butt this, morph that, Rogue's butt, like our page isn't like that.
Rogue's butt. There's probably like an entire website dedicated to that.
Oh, I'm
100%.
sure there is. I'm sure
100%.
there is.
Oh, I'm so tempted to search.
Ugh, you'll find it, Jody.
There's
I
art.
don't
There's
find your
art
people
page. There's lots of
somewhere.
art pages. They're all out there.
Well, I know there's a whole like subsection of deviant art that has Rogue in it. I know that.
There's
for sure.
there's some where people like go the other way, where they like put Cyclops in that role or something, which are pretty funny. Where his ass is like really out, which is funny.
Okay, I'm probably one of the only people that think Cyclops is an absolute terrible character. I hate.
You
Cyclops.
are an absolute terrible guest for saying that, Jody.
I don't like Cyclops.
We both like Cyclops.
That's fine.
Yeah, but these movies.
I won't shit on you for liking it.
These movies shouldn't make you like Cyclops, but the comics would. The comics.
Oh no,
would.
actually I do like the comic iteration, but
He's
the movie
fascinating.
iteration
in
is
the comics
terrible.
and awesome. Yeah, agreed. Like, even like I love the TAS version, but I could see why he would rub certain people the wrong way.
Oh yeah.
But I like him. You know, he's
No,
just
the animated series I didn't mind him in. But the movies definitely no.
No, definitely no. Well, let's skip most of our segments as we're running along in the tooth here. And I got a baby.
But
in
I was
my
having
hand.
so much fun.
And we were having fun with you, Jody.
Oh well, thank you.
All I need now is for you to contact your students, Professor.
Homework. No one told me there was going to be homework on this.
You already did yours.
You already did
Oh,
yours,
did I?
actually, because
good.
it's to watch X-Men: The Road Cut. So
Oh, okay.
X-Men: Days of Future Past: The Road Cut. So
I've already seen it.
that's what we're doing our next show, and then after that is Davin's birthday. And
It's well worth it, and that's why I just bought it.
and the
I
first
Good.
first 2 episodes of the new X-Men series.
Well, we won't be there. We'll be out here 6 days after that.
Yes. No, I
We
said
do
the
it.
next episode will be.
Oh, yeah.
Days
I'm
of
really
Future Past
hoping
Road
the
Cut.
new series is going to be good.
Yeah,
but
then, like,
but
That
I
trailer
don't-
was pretty
I-
great. I'm excited.
The trailer
Oh,
was
the
good,
trailer
but
was great.
I have a problem with the fact that I think the trailer might be the best of it, and that's going to bother me.
No,
I'm going to give it a shot.
No,
I'm
Jody.
hoping it's gonna be good.
I'm confident it's going to be good.
Oh,
That-
but,
that- that
Disney
trailer
has
had
their
hardly
hands on
any
this, guys.
storm. Don't fall into the meme lord horseshit about everything Disney touching being crap. Most of the shit I've seen from Disney is awesome. Even still, like kids' movies I'm watching.
In the last
these
5
little
years,
ones,
you've
they've
seen
been great.
something from Disney that was awesome.
Moana
Mandalorian?
was fantastic.
Mandalorian 3, The Mandalorian 2, Mandalorian
Most
1.
of the Marvel shows.
Okay,
have been
Mandalorian
great.
season 3 was
Andor.
terrible,
I haven't seen it
Echo
yet.
was really good.
It's
I
terrible.
thought.
but the first two were
I
good.
love She-Hulk. I
Me
love.
too.
Oh,
Love
She-Hulk
She-Hulk.
was terrible. What are you talking
It was
about?
amazing.
It was
Oh,
amazing.
you guys are.
You don't understand the book.
I'm
Yeah,
never
people
coming
don't-
back.
Everyone
here.
who doesn't like that She-Hulk show, none of them have read a She-Hulk comic book because it was.
Oh, I've read
picture
the
perfect.
I've read the comics. I like
It was
the comics.
picture- perfect
Werewolf
She-Hulk,
by
yeah.
Night was great. I mean, there's a lot of good
Yeah,
stuff.
Moon Knight was great.
Moon Knight was fun.
I didn't
I don't
actually
know.
see Moon Knight.
I loved
It's good.
Hawkeye. So
Hawkeye was
actually, they got a pretty great.
I've
track record.
heard. You know what? The
Don't
weird
let the
thing with
meme
Hawkeye-
lords.
Yeah, Hawkeye is
Meme
one of those
lords.
things that I know
Those
a lot
meme
of
lords. Call
people
them now.
just hate because they hate it.
The
and
meme
it's
lords
like,
are the thing.
but don't.
People that just post memes that.
Well, you make
Perpetuate
Hawkeye a main
unnecessary
character in something,
hate
and you're
and
going to have
horseshit.
automatically a lot of people shitting on it. Like it's Hawkeye. A lot of people didn't even like from the movies. Like so, that doesn't shock me.
People just didn't like She-Hulk because they didn't like finding out that they were in fact the villain.
Yeah, that actually is kind of true. That, like,
Yeah.
like toxic fandom.
I
is
like
kind of the
I
villain
like
of-
being the villain though, guys.
You
That's
like
true.
being the villain.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, we need every good story needs a villain.
It's true.
And eventually, when we get to the end of this
And every good.
this series, where Davin and I are forced to kill you because that's a resolution, then we'll get there and we'll figure that.
You
we
know,
are
it's
the rocks
inevitable.
on the eternal shore.
But I
Well,
am
actually,
weapon.
on us
I am
and
weapon.
be
J,
broken.
guys.
Actually, no. What'll happen was one of us will die to sacrifice to save the other, and then that one will be victorious. But
I'm wondering.
We'll
which one
settle
will die
that
out
with
of
good
the two.
old fashioned rock, paper, scissors. As is, of course, tradition. You can support the show at patreon.com/X-Men Review Show. Or you know what? Go check out our Redbubble. You can buy some sweet merch there. We get 7 designs up, and you can apply them to any merch item you want over there. So check out Redbubble/X-Men, or something like that. X-Men Review Show.
some other
or
bullshit. Just watch it.
Or X-Men Review Shop. You can find.
Probably
our
be
link to
better
it
if you had a
anyway.
link for that.
We do on the Facebook, so just check it out. Because we are on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and TikTok, And you can find our audio only version wherever you get your podcast.
Davin does a lot of dancing on TikTok.
Yeah, I show.
Well,
my
I heard his
pectorals.
Twitch streams were very steamy.
Ooh, yeah, we should work on our OnlyFans.
Something to do with paper mache and old comic books. That's all.
Hey Disney, you're obviously listening to this show, so you know you need a new show, some new showrunners for the X-Men cartoon. Right here, Davin and I are ready.
These guys are
already
ready to go.
Eric Lewald and Larry Houston under contract, so that's what I suggest they do. But,
And Disney won't be against them because I've seen their OnlyFans. They're fine.
I'd love to see the Lee Waltz OnlyFans looks like.
Special invite only.
Yeah,
Andre's OnlyFans is just like stroking his beard.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
And we won't tell you what Davin does.
You don't want to know.
No.
Horror.
You're not ready for that.
Horror. You're not ready. You can't handle
We're
the
a
truth.
member, sometimes proud member of the United Federation of Podcasts. Where we have
I know that place.
other fine shows like Hold Up, a movie podcast.
I love
We
Hold
just
Up.
talked about martial arts movies.
I listened.
Yep.
I'm
And next we're
on
talking
that
about
show
sports.
coming up eventually.
Yeah, you're
Yeah, I
doing
think I am
like
at
the
some point. I
animation
can't
one or
remember.
something.
He tells me every once in a while
doing
that I'm supposed to
something. I
do
can't
one.
remember.
Yeah, something to do with animation, Jody, or like.
Am I doing
stop
big
motion, maybe,
big
or-
monster movies?
Yeah, you're doing giant monsters.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, that'll
So
be fun.
Murphy's going to do Pacific Rim, I'm sure.
No, he
Or-
picked Godzilla -1 because neither he or I have seen it.
Oh, do I have to pick Pacific Rim? It's a great.
I heard
movie.
it. I like Pacific Rim.
I don't actually like.
Second one's terrible, but
Yeah,
I found the
yeah.
first one kind of stupid.
I found you kind of stupid.
first one was
Yeah.
very. First one is the live action and Evangelion I always wanted.
Mm.
That's really what it is.
What are you going to pick, Devin, for that one?
Something old and like really.
So
old,
the
like a
original
giant
Godzilla?
claw.
Do we
or,
all-
like no
we
something old and bad?
Don't
Like,
pick the giant claw. You
I'm
know
not going
Murphy's
to pick the
be
giant
so
claw.
mad.
It's too cliche, but like something like not necessarily good.
You know what's
But
one
that might surprise us.
You know what's one that I think you should pick that is a good movie? Q, the Winged Serpent.
Oh, I've
Look
heard
it
of
up.
that one. Yeah,
It's
it
by-
might be
I've
that
actually
one.
seen that.
That
It's
might
by
be
it's
the
by
one I picked.
Larry. It's by Larry, the guy that did the stuff. Larry Cohen. He did he did a lot of those Maniac Cop. He did a lot of those sort of movies back in the day.
Yeah.
David Carradine's in it. It's about like a giant
Okay.
Quetzalcoatl bird thing that like lives atop
Yeah.
the Empire State Building. It's fun. It's a ridiculously
all
fun
right,
movie.
I might pick that one. I've heard of
It's
that
one that seems up your alley because it's weird and it's not really what we would expect someone to pick for this sort of movie.
All right.
Well, thanks for having me
There's
on, guys.
No, thanks
There's
for being
also
on.
Super Mater Brothers.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah.
review reality shows, and we sometimes
They're
talk
brothers.
about Marvel.
They're brothers.
What's happening over on the old the old Graphics Histories podcast.
All I saw was a butthole.
That's the point. It's working.
Good.
So we just had an episode drop with Fabrice Sapolsky, who runs
Fascinating one.
Fair Square Comics, independent comics. He's kind of known for being the co-creator of Spider-Man, but he's Spider-Man Noir, but he's gone on to do some amazing stuff in his own right as an editor and running his own comic company. Before that was Eric Larson, which was a big episode, probably my most downloaded episode, which is fun.
Wow.
It was a really cool talk. Next up, we got Fred Van Lente, comic book writer, worked for Marvel for many years. Did a lot
Larson
of
got
Marvel
more
Zombies
downloads than I did. Eh?
books. I'm sorry to say, buddy.
I wonder how that happened.
Then we
don't
have then after him is Chuck Patton. After him is
looking forward to that one.
Diedrich O. Smith. And then after him is the conversation I had yesterday, which I recorded with Gary K. Wolf, the writer.
Oh, I was wondering
wow.
if how'd that go?
It was great. He's super cool.
Was there a lot of praying and bowing down and whatnot?
Well, I've actually been reading. Do yourself a favor. We didn't do my
Exactly.
Well, he's actually a big fan of the movie too, which is fun to talk about. But
He wrote Andre's favorite movie, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And
Well, he wrote the
no,
book
didn't
the
write the
movie is
movie.
based
He
on.
He wrote
created
the
the
book.
character.
he also was a consultant on the movie as well, and a lot of characters from the book is quite different from the movie.
Oh yeah.
It
the
seems
original,
like it.
Who Sent
I never finished it, but
It's very good. Like I just started reading it because I wanted to finish it before I talked to him. I didn't have time, but it's about halfway through it, and it's super good. It's
Yeah,
really, really good.
I've heard very good things, and I have it. It's sitting on my reader. I just haven't got to it yet.
Yeah, I like on Amazon that one. All of his books were like $3 on Kindle.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I grabbed them just to
Great way to get cheap books too.
And do yourself a favor as well. There's a YouTube movie, which you only find on YouTube, called The Complicated History of Roger Rabbit, which of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is about the entire history, talks about the books, everything leading up to the film. It's very, I've only been halfway through.
Throw that into the notepad right now.
It's just on YouTube. It's not like super high quality or anything, but it's very informative and it's very interesting. They talk about a lot of stuff.
Documentaries.
But maybe watch it after. Well, actually, no.
I'm a documentary fiend, so
nothing I've seen so far is really ruins anything that happens in our show. So, but he has some great stories about stuff. You know, some of the myths about Who Framed Roger Rabbit and some of the secret nudity and stuff we talk about. You'd be surprised to find out how much actually is in the movie. Or
there's a lot in there.
A lot, and why that happened. It was kind of an homage to the way animators used to do things back in the day. It's very cool, and even some of the insight about the connection of Warner, how they got Warner on board to use the Looney Tunes characters and all that sort of stuff. So, but in his books, his writing process, he fought in Vietnam. Like he's been around.
Oh my god, this sounds like a crazy interview.
He's in his 80s. Like he's been
that
around.
might be cute on my next drive into work.
We should be listening to all the episodes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Graphics Histories, man. It's a good
dude.
show.
I do have you on mine.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. But lately, since I've been marketing things a little better, I've been getting some more traction, which is nice. So I like to keep that rolling. So,
and then you lowered your standards and had me on this show.
No,
and made me his producer.
Wow. I mean, I don't know if producer's the right name for you, just because producers generally
guest acquisitions agent.
Yeah, I should just do the episode and then give you the files and never have to think about it again, which I don't.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I would love to have a person do that. But
I try to produce the show by
go back
getting
to
them
my
over to
Star Trek world
StreamYard
here,
and
guys,
other
so.
things. But,
I'm on StreamYard, or Buzzsprout. But but Davin has been doing a great job on some of the guests, and we have some pretty cool ones coming down the pipe.
Oh, you guys have had some, from what I've seen, you guys have had some really good.
I mean, I hesitate to say the ones that aren't recorded yet, but there are possibly ones coming up with Stephen Grant, who did a lot of Punisher comics back in the day, which is pretty great. There's Becca Kinsey, who works for Marvel currently.
I know the name, but I don't know why.
Andrew Thomas as well, and I feel like there's one more in there somewhere. Keith Gratchow.
Oh yeah, Keith
Gratchow. Gratchow. So those are the next 4 that I got lined up for things. So the next 8 episodes, unless anything happens.
There's some scheduled for the fall and the summer. And
a couple, that want to coincide with things they have coming out. So,
what a great time to be alive, gentlemen!
It is.
It really is. And of course, we have Live Long and Podcast over there, where you can find Jody. Look at him there in his yellow uniform.
Look at him over there.
Well, I'm actually in a red uniform now, but
and I'm in a blue one now. So
which one is Jody?
I'll get the new one.
I can't see. I didn't see Jody. Where is he?
Jody's there in the front in the yellow.
Fourth.
Oh yeah, you're looking pretty muscular there. Look at that. Look at that V shape.
I think it's actually fat, but anyway.
Yeah, he was mad. He's like, "Why did they make me the fat one?" He's like,
"I wasn't mad."
Yeah, I remember.
Jody, if you
remember and what you know are two different things, my friend.
Jody, since you said you're a documentary fiend, and I always suggest movies. Have you ever watched Crumb, the documentary?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
it's a good one.
Very good.
And I would argue that American Splendor is also kind of a documentary. But
I'm not sure I would call that.
Not really, but I do love it. I do love it. It's such a great movie.
It is good.
Yeah. Watch some with Paul Giamatti in it. That's a bit. Watch The Holdovers. If you haven't seen it, it's really good.
But check out Debate 9, not Debate 9. We're doing the Trouble with Trivia on Friday, and we're having Mark Cartier from the Shuttlepod Show face off
one of my
against me
favorite
and Adam.
podcasts. I love that podcast.
Yeah, it's a good podcast, really good. So I'm looking forward to having Mark
really
on
fun.
and
the best
battling
thing
him.
that Malcolm has ever been in.
You shut your mouth. Shut your goddamn mouth, Jody. Now, see how he's an S-tier villain? He does this to me on purpose.
I do it constantly.
Anyway,
just for fun.
Yep. Trivial Debates.
You got to update your graphics here, man.
No, that's the newest one.
Is that the newest one? Oh,
yeah, when it's not like episode specific.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Aiming on track. Actually, the next Trivial Debate is going to be, I just got roped into being a contestant on that. It's about Avatar, The Last Airbender original cartoon series.
No, I'm
Are you going to watch the M. Night Shyamalan movie too?
I've seen it.
Oh, really?
Not good. Yeah, I loved it. I loved Avatar, so I'm competing on that.
I've heard the new show is good. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I've heard the new show's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to watching that.
Never been
I
a
was gonna
fan.
watch it, but now I have to go back and watch the cartoon for this trivia debate. So
I finally
that's been
broke
delayed.
down and watched the One Piece live action though.
I've heard that was all right. I've heard the Cowboy Bebop one was pretty decent too, but I never watched it.
I want to see Blue Eyed Samurai. That's
Yeah, I gotta watch that
pretty
too.
good.
I'm actually just finishing up the new He-Man Revolution show or whatever.
Oh, is there a second season of that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
It's
I
good.
like the first season. Quite
it's
a bit.
good. I like it. It's fun.
I can't say I enjoyed the first season.
Really,
Oh,
second
I
one's
did.
pretty solid.
I haven't seen the second one yet.
I liked how they used He-Man because he is kind of like an overpowered MacGuffin. So I liked that they sort of took him off the board.
They actually
Thought that
like do
made
more
for
to
a better
like
story, but
they do more to sort of plug in some of the extended He-Man history, in this new
That's
season. So
interesting. I'm definitely look forward to that. Also, check out Damon on Track. We just talked about Stan Rogers.
ooh, what? Which one?
Yeah,
he's one of my
the very
favorites.
very best of is what Dave chose.
What? Okay, well that's fine.
I know. He
I'm
wanted
still
to get
just happy.
everything
I'm just
in
happy
there.
that I'm just happy they did Stan Rogers.
Yeah, we
I am
talked about Stan Rogers.
totally
and
in the
all
wrong
the good,
company
good
right
songs
now.
other than Witch of Westmoreland, but that one's a cover, so I know why it wasn't on the very best of. But still, my favorite.
Well, I mean,
Stan
40,
song.
45 years.
It was all on there.
Lies is probably his
The-
best one, but they're all
It
really
was
good.
on there. Oh, Lies isn't his best song, but it was on there. Dave really liked that one. I think.
This is
The Idiot's
why
really good.
I-
Marielle
I
Car-
shouldn't be on podcasts hosted by people from the fucking East Coast. All right, that's the reason why I shouldn't be on. Here.
Well, good sir, Stan Rogers is not from the East Coast. He actually
No, he
was
is
born in
Hamilton,
Ontario, so
I know.
he just adopted the East Coast as his home, as he should, because it's great.
Well, he adopted.
And that's where his parents and family and grandmother were from. And everything.
And it
But anyway,
probably killed him because he died traveling between them. But that's beside the point.
and the Hellbound podcast with Alex Blackburn and Michael Chan. And we have a new member of our United Federation of podcast,
Yes.
but I don't think I have the graphic for them yet. But that's the Hey, did you see this one movie podcast? So
Check
yeah.
out their stuff. They're,
check that out
they
as
do a
well.
pretty
They
good
got
podcast.
they got a long back catalog there. They got well over 100 episodes. So yeah,
I'm moving on to the Orville next. I know
love that show.
Davin wants to come.
I love that show.
no, they
Andre,
want me
you're
in
welcome
there just
anytime.
like
Have me on anytime. I love
We're
that
gonna
show.
we're gonna do the full rewatch on it.
Oh, I will
it's gonna
happily
be
watch
starting
that.
in about 9-10 weeks from now.
they want me on there to show me it's not awful, but we'll see.
How much
Hey,
of a chance did you? How much of a chance did you give it, Devin?
I would say 6
About the same
episodes or
chance
so.
that he
maybe
always
most of a good chunk of that first season.
Yeah,
If not, like how long?
Well,
is
that's
it?
the reason
Maybe
why we
all
did
of
the
it.
Enterprise podcast, because we had to convince Kevin that the show exists.
And then he ended up liking it better than all of them.
He liked it better than everyone.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it
which
was
is
great.
so weird, but anyway, he had higher ratings.
Leave
than
us,
both people.
please.
I guess we could do that.
All right, that's fine. I
We,
get it.
we, we
All right.
shall
Thanks for having
move
me, guys.
along here.
Oh, thanks for being here, Jody. Anytime you want to come on, happy to have you.
I'm back on my starship. I'm where I need to be.
Oh well, we're gonna need you on the next video game one when we play like Children of the Atom. We'll scrap it out that way.
Sounds good.
All right. Catch you next time, everybody.
Good night.
Not you.